This episode of An Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Kalle Kolmonen. Thank you.
Hello, friends, and welcome to An Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez,
And I'm Lane.
and we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda.
Yeah.
Na, 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 na.
Sing it.
Na, 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 na. That's Winnie's new favorite word. Na, na, na,
Yeah, I heard her say that today, actually.
Bananas.
Yeah, that was,
Yep.
yeah.
Pretty
She's
amazing.
really,
I think she's almost ready for the mics.
she might be, actually, yeah.
She's ready to come and, maybe do a little quick counsel herself. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
It
Well,
would be.
it won't be long.
Soon.
We'll have her on here.
I'll be dead soon, and she can take my place.
That's fine, yeah. All right. This week we are saddling up partners as we cover the road to Isengard as a part of our journey through Middle-earth.
Excellent. I love it.
Yeah.
Excited for this chapter. Not as excited as previous chapters, but I'm excited to be here right now.
Yeah, I
We've
think
had an exciting evening.
here's the, we've had an exciting evening. I'm actually
Yeah, let's save it. We got to get through the table of contents.
Okay.
Let's not, Upcoming this episode, we've got our PPP. We got to think of another name for that. Our premium Patreon profile.
I just can't say it, so I just
PPP. Today we are featuring Jen Shepard. So Goldberry will be coming up from the Withy Windle and reading some pretty exclusive questions that she asked Jen Shepard. So that's exciting.
yeah.
I eat tacos.
I just want to give him a quick shout out.
Absolutely.
So, because why not?
Our good buddy I eat tacos on Instagram.
Not that anyone should go check out his Instagram, but it's hilarious.
And just a quick shout out to all the mail we've received. Most recently, Nick Freeberg sent us a beautiful box set of Ezra.
Yeah, the histories of Middle Earth. I mean, he kind of you see it. It's in Barnes & Noble. You can go to where it's a nice little 6. I think it's 6 volumes, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Starts off with the Lost Tales, Part 1 and Part 2, and kind of goes on from there. So
He felt sort of moved to send that our way. Nick's an amazing guy. We got to meet him. He's the upper that drove all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to Ohio in a morning and then hung out with us all day at the long expected party and then went right back down.
Yeah.
I said, hey, man, you can crash here. He's like, I think I'm just going to drive. I'm good. He's definitely an adventurer. So that was a beautiful gift for him to send. We also want to let you know, we've tried to do this like every episode, but we always forget. If you want to send anything our way, art, letters, whatever, anything you feel like you want to share with us in person, just go ahead and post it to P.O. Box 96, Amanda, Ohio, 43102.
Wow.
Yeah, send it our way, and we will... It's kind of cool because we're going to have a place for this eventually, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
There may be, I don't know, a studio in the works, an official studio, and we'll be able to start like displaying the stuff that you guys send us, which is really cool. But before we get into that, I don't know. I'm feeling moved by the spirit, Ezra. I'm feeling a little bit like a leather daddy again.
Wow.
I can hear the sleigh bells. They're jingling. They're right past that turkey-induced coma.
Yeah.
And as the holidays approach, we got to go get some gifts, right?
Oh, we got to. Yeah.
And for any leather daddy, you got to get weird. And I don't mean W-E-I-R-D.
Right.
I mean W-Y-R-D.
Tell 'em.
Okay. We got to go visit Travis's leather shop, Weird Leatherworks, because he's doing something really, really cool. All right. Has made Unexpected Podcast exclusive limited edition coasters.
Yeah.
Hand cut, hand hammered, and then also in our colorway of our logo. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Not only that, but he's offering an exclusive code to just you guys, just you listening right here, right now. If you go and you buy these coasters and you type in UPWYRD, UPWYRD, you will get that for $10 free shipping. That is a deal. That's a great stocking stuffer. That's a great gift for yourself. You got to treat yourself at Christmas time too. Santa likes, gifts for yourself as well. I don't know if that last sentence made any sense. Go ahead and check it out. And also, he's got amazing stuff. Not just the coasters. There's all sorts of cosplay stuff. There's all kinds of incredible Tolkien-inspired leatherworks.
What was the video thing? Didn't you say there's more stuff there? There's like...
So Travis and I have been in touch.
Yeah.
He's been sending me kind of like an inside look into weird leatherworks, which I am blown away by.
Yeah.
Videos, pictures. He recently sent me the process, and these guys work hard. It's Travis and his buddy. They work really, really hard to create some of the finest leatherworks you can get.
Yeah.
He recently sent me a behind-the-scenes look at crafting of Thone's armor. So the stuff that Grandma would have kept nice and shiny, or maybe let decay, you know, depending on his mood and his affiliation with Saruman. They've crafted it from absolutely nothing, just raw leather materials, into this beautiful, full armor piece.
Nice.
All the details, all the hammering and the carving and I don't even know. I don't understand it all because I'm not a leather guy, but amazing. So even if you're into something like that, if you want a custom piece, if you're like, hey, I really want Boromir and Aragorn's bracers, I love that.
Wow.
Hit them up, email them. They can do things like that. So it's really the place to go. Treat your inner ho-ho hobbit. Go check it out. That's weirdleatherandmead.com. weirdleatherandmead.com. WYRD.
It's just a weird way to spell weird.
It is kind of a weird way.
You know?
But you know what?
I like it.
When you're a leather daddy, you got to get kind of weird. Also, they're trying to start up this meadery, but they need your help. So if you go check out their Kickstarter, just look up Weird Meadery. They're very close to their goal, but if you could chip in a little bit, it'll help them get off the ground, and then we can all drink the mead together.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Mead casa es su casa.
There it is.
Kind of a thing. So awesome. All right. Let's get into some quick counsel, my friend.
Yeah. Let's
we got a lot to talk about in quick counsel.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. So it's been we had a major Discord chat before we started today, and so I always bring that up just because
Discord Middle Earth.
Man, we had
in a good way.
Guys, you just ask anybody who was there; they'll tell you that there was some behind the scenes, and that stuff is just it stays there. You don't, it's like they got a lot of stuff out of Ez, which doesn't really typically happen. But
it was a lot of like how when we sleep, our sleeping positions.
Yeah, which way do we live?
If we have to crash on the same couch, who gets the in, who gets the out?
Yeah.
Do we go toe to head to toe? Do we, spoon?
Socks on, off?
Yeah. A lot of the details that, I guess, we shared now.
Yeah. Well, we didn't give you all those details.
That's true. We alluded to the details. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
But no.
Good point.
So we had a great discussion there, but we did making a major announcement there, which is
just blow it up right now.
We're building a studio. I mean,
let it set in. We're building a studio, and we're naming it Amazon Studios. Just kidding.
We're not doing that. But no, we had this inspiration. We're dreaming here a little bit, and so we've wanted to. My ambitious. Well, it just started off. I don't know. You want to explain maybe just how this kind of came to be?
Sure. I got a 3-car garage here in the Shire. Never going to have 3 cars. Can't even afford one. So this plan has taken many forms. Originally, I was driving hard to the hoop to talk my parents into moving out there and making it their retirement suite. They want to move down this way. Well, they have. They bought a house in Lancaster. Okay, boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so
awesome.
That dream is dead for the garage. That's okay. We'll move on to step B. Step B, Sarah and I are talking, Goldberry, and I was like, what if we did, I think it was her idea. She said, what if you did a man cave out there? Took one of the bays and did a man cave. And I've always loved calling it a couple cave because we do all that stuff together. We watch games, movies. We're always watching the Browns together.
Right.
So kind of turned into that. And we were talking about that today, and it just came up. And I think it was always in the back of my head, like to have a little area. But we just said, hey, man, make a little, section, put up a wall, and we built a studio out there too.
Yeah, because you were already going to put up one wall, and you kind of said, I don't need all of that space.
Right, we don't.
Put something here and do half of it, or not quite half, like a third of it.
Yeah.
Be like a studio. And we had talked about doing it back out by your wood pile, building actually like a little
structure.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think we even talked about that on the podcast very, very briefly. But it's happening. I mean, we're just bound and determined to do it. And I sort of said, don't be surprised if I show up on Saturday. We've already got some of our patrons, people in Ohio, who are like, if you need some free
Some labor for beer,
yeah,
we're there. Yeah.
So we've got some people to hang some drywall and different things. So we'll work on it. But if we're thinking about for the anniversary of the podcast, possibly doing like a 30-day Kickstarter just to kind of see if we could get some extra help just to kind of get that going. And anybody who donated there would get their name on the wall.
It'll be in the studio. We talked about that. So our patrons and then anyone who would pitch into Kickstarter, the cool thing would be to like have an entire wall full of your names. And maybe even two sides to a wall, honestly.
Yeah.
But making a unique, creative way that you could be literally ingrained into, the space where we meet every single week would be really, really cool. So that's the dream.
Yeah. That's where it's at. And so we're not asking anything. I mean, we obviously got, we talked to some of our patrons tonight, and we're going to use some of that. We want to be fully transparent about what we're doing, what the goals are, and that'll just be awesome, man.
Yeah.
It'll just be a great place to kind of. And we're talking about the party next year, the long expected party. Year two. What would that be like? Bringing people, if you come that distance, let's set you up in the studio, record some stuff, and just make it bigger and better.
We could have like rolling subs.
Yeah,
just a line, and hey, if you're able to chip in on your patron, your name's on that wall, you get a picture next to it. How cool is that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's awesome. So, yeah, that's really, really exciting because we love doing. And I told Ezra, I said we're going to build this place, we're going to get in there, and we're going to miss the dining room.
Yeah, probably.
We will.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of a cool thing, that way.
We'll come back. We'll visit.
Yeah, and every once in a while we'll do on location in the dining room.
Yeah,
where it all started. But it's we've talked about we need somewhere more permanent. It's not that much time, but Ezra's always got to lug the material in, or the equipment in here, and then we set up.
Yeah.
And at first I think you guys remember it took like 3 hours. Now it takes 15 minutes. But tear up, set down. Wow, I just did what you did.
You did.
Set up, tear down.
You did, actually.
That's just one more thing we have to do, and it kind of sort of like creates a little Hornberg in here while we're holed
other
up.
Things we would do more of, like the Discord chats would go more fluid, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of put a timeline. I wanted to possibly get some of this done by the time that or at least get it framed in before the second Smith baby shows up. So to do that, I would.
Ezra's gung ho, man. He's ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna go nuts. I'm already investing a lot of my own resources in this, and I think it's go time, baby. Yeah, it's go time.
It's time to make it happen.
So, anyways, all right, guys, that was just a quick us dreaming, excited about something that we are working on. We wanted to share it with you. So,
kind of build the excitement a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to, hopefully you'll be excited with us and what have you, just because it's fun.
And that'll give us a place too. All the stuff that you guys have sent in, these beautiful letters, drawings.
Yeah, we have a menu from the Eagle and Child.
But we need a place to display all that.
Right.
And that would be really, really cool. We get all those things framed, or even just like get a kind of a mood board up there, everything pinned up, and we can look up and we can have those reminders of you guys right there.
Yeah, all that kind of good stuff.
Just really cool. So
yeah. So there
How
it
about,
is.
You excited to be on break?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
This is our Thanksgiving break, so
we're spoiled teachers. We get 3 days off.
Gosh,
plus the weekend.
Remember last year we were talking about snow days, and I'm like, never bring that up again. Why would you? Remember last year?
I know.
When we started the podcast, I was like,
I know.
People are gonna hate us. But it is what it is. So yeah, I'm excited. That's actually why we recorded. We're actually recording a little bit early.
Tuesday.
And so for you guys, this will be coming out here on Sunday, but we're just enjoying our break. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. This is your favorite holiday.
My favorite holiday, man. I tell you what, I love it because I think I've maybe talked about this before. Can't remember, but it seems like Thanksgiving is so quickly passed over. Yeah. And I get it because Halloween's done and you're looking ahead to Christmas, and Christmas is an exciting time.
It's like the middle child, isn't it?
It is kind of. Actually, it's the perfect analogy. It is the middle child. And it's not real flashy. It's simple. You get together with your family, you eat some food. But the important part to me is that you give thanks. Yeah. I think like my own battle and my own inner demons is like all over personal possessions and things. Right. And I get obsessed over getting things, or there's things that I really want, and then I get them and I think I didn't need this, or this is cool, this is fine, but that's not what fills the void. Mm-hmm. I mean, relationships do that. Quality time does that. And so Thanksgiving is really kind of the polar opposite of that, right? It has nothing to do with what you want. It's giving thanks for what you already have. And even just doing that, it's when you stop and you tally it all up in your head, and even if just like kind of verbalizing it to yourself, I always try to have a moment kind of on my own where I think, and I do this at New Year's too, because it's another reflective time, but just think about all this stuff I've been given, all of the things that I have that a lot of other people either don't have or don't see, maybe. I mean, like taking time to see things, the little simple things that you're given, just life itself. And I tell you what, man, it's good for the soul. It puts things back into perspective, and it helps you, I don't know, put your energy in the right direction. So
no, I get it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a good holiday. It's definitely a time for reflection, and
it's
like
humbling too, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
Just I'm totally unworthy of all I've been given. So
well, and I had my students this week. We for a writing activity. Seems simple, but like I was like, think of a teacher, someone in your life, or a person somewhere, whoever it may be, a leader, a mentor, and let's write to that person. Let's write them a letter, an old-fashioned letter.
See, that's a beautiful thing.
We put it in the mail, and it was sort of like, it was funny too, because like they just what
a foreign concept, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like, here's how you, and I'm a high school teacher, so I was shocked. I'm like, some of these ninth graders like didn't know what to do, and how to address it, and all that kind of stuff. Wowzers, here we go. Good activity, Mr. Kirk. Here we go.
It's true, man. It's true. Teaching them something that everyone should know. But yeah, and I
guess
time
for reflection.
Yeah, making sure you let people know that you're thankful for them too, and wow, my favorite. That's why.
Yeah. All right, everything else, good.
Life's great. I'm happy to be here, bud.
Okay.
Thankful for you, Ezra. I really am. Very thankful for you and our friendship. I'm thankful for this book club, and I'm thankful for all of you, all of your support, all of your participation, all of your love, and all the positivity.
Yeah.
And just getting to meet with you guys once a week, even when life gets busy and stressful and tiring, it's always an honor, and it's something that we never take lightly, and we feel just blessed to be in Middle Earth with you guys. Honestly, every single one of you, even the ones we've never heard from or talked to, that you're listening, you're reading along with us, you're putting up with our rambling. It means a lot to us, guys. We love you guys.
Exactly. I'm well said, my friend, because and I always start the show off by calling you guys friends. I'm sitting across from a friend.
That's intentional, isn't it?
It's intentional. Yep. You guys, you really do feel like our friends, and you are our friends. Like we were talking. The show today was sponsored by Calais, and it was sort of like, he came back. Like when we don't hear from you guys for a little bit, we wonder what's up. We wonder how you guys are doing, and we want to check in. We want to see if everything's going okay. Yep. So it's just nice to hear from you. And some of you, have never written in, but you're just listening, and you just enjoy the podcast. And I either see that in a Tolkien story. You're not in the group, but you're here. You're on Instagram. You're on Twitter, wherever it may be. We see all of that, and we appreciate all of you guys. So you don't have to write in to let us know that you're listening. It's just it's just, I don't know, it feels good just to be surrounded by this positive atmosphere. These good people.
Absolutely, man.
So it's made my life better.
Absolutely, mine too.
All right. Let's see here. Let's dive into dropping eaves.
Let's drop some eaves, baby.
Yeah,
let's do it. Okay, so Amazon TV series. There is an interesting article that came out. It's just another one of these recaps, but it's probably the briefest I've seen so far. It's all information we've covered already. It's from a cool magazine called Paste. Paste is it's an old music and culture magazine that it's actually funny. My dad used to subscribe to this. He used to actually send you sample CDs of just popular music, maybe artists that didn't have a platform.
Yeah, they actually have a good YouTube. They have a good YouTube channel right now.
Do they really?
Yeah,
that's sweet, man.
Yep.
But it was Jeremy Strayer and Ron Wright who got my dad into Paste. So I remember, kind of weird nostalgia. I remember we would drive, we'd pop in the Paste CD and listen to some cool music that we wouldn't have heard any other way. So anyway, they go over just what we know so far, where it fits in the canon, the rights, behind the scenes, and then the premiere date. So it's all stuff we've covered before. Where it fits into the canon, no one's really sure. The rights belonging to Amazon, of course. Behind the scenes, just talking about just a little tease on who this is going to center around. We're thinking right now, Aragorn and Aragorn's young life. The fact that we have John Payne and Patrick McKay as the writers, which is very exciting. We know that they're probably not taking any break this Thanksgiving and working hard to craft this show for us. And then the premiere date, which is hopefully 2021. We got a bit of time, guys. Some people want to try to push it to 2020, but it sounds like everyone in leadership is like, let's give it some time. 2021's not bad. There's nothing wrong with taking your time, rushing.
Get it right, because once it starts, if it's solid and it lands, and it's well received by the fandom, I mean, you're in.
A great author once said, "Shortcuts make for long cuts."
Yeah.
I think we read that in this book.
We did.
Let's be okay with 2021. I know it seems like a long time away, but I guess it's not really that far. So there you go. There's a little bit of Amazon show news. The biopic actually has a really cool new tidbit. Thomas Newman is composing the score.
Okay.
So that means he's working on the music right now, which means they will probably be performing it, recording it within the next couple months. And I think that's on track for my, my insider tidbit that within the next 6 months it's going to be out there, guys.
And you just made that up, and like it might follow.
No, I have insider resources.
Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
What are you trying to pull the curtain away from me?
No, I'm not.
I'm the Wizard of Oz, Ezra. You can't do that.
You actually have me wondering now if you actually, because I don't know. So I'm sort of like, did you hit up does Tammy Lane know somebody who knows
maybe
somebody
I know
else?
somebody.
Okay.
How about that? I know people.
That's fine.
I know you.
I know you
You're
too.
a podcasting wizard, so there we go.
Okay.
But still no official release date, but I'm telling you guys, within 6 months, all right, by Easter, it'll be here. In other corners of Middle-earth, I'm sorry, Thomas Newman. He's done really amazing movies, so we're in for a treat. Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, American Beauty, Finding Nemo, and Skyfall.
Yeah.
All of which, when I think of the scores, I'm thinking like really beautiful, emotive music. So if he's doing the score for that, we're in for a treat. Get the tissues ready. We're going to be crying.
Well, also I was thinking
Tolkien
emotional.
loses all of his friends and falls in love.
Yeah, I was thinking emotional music. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. In other corners of Middle-earth, we got Billy Boyd. You guys heard it. He's in New Zealand.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
He may have visited, the home of his friend, Mr. Frodo, cousin Frodo.
Isn't that crazy?
It's pretty nuts.
Well, isn't it crazy that there's a picture of Billy Boyd that he signed to the uppers in a place where he filmed those movies? He stood right there.
And he has yet to see those. I'm going to, by the time you're listening to this, they will be on Twitter.
Right.
And I anticipate a response from Billy. I think we need to start hashtagging Billy Boyd on Up Talking Tolkien. I think we just need to get him on here, guys, and talk to him. Would that be pretty cool?
It'd be awesome.
Continue our conversation from WizardCon. I think we need to make it happen. So
I think he's going to be blown away that that's in New Zealand,
I think he will too.
Because that's on the set, you know what I mean?
I think he will too. And if you're paying attention to Instagram and Twitter, he and Dom have been hanging out lately. A lot of funny shenanigans they're getting into.
Oh my gosh.
Just I almost think they just need to make a comedy movie together. Their natural comedy is just so good. Yeah. They're a classic team. They know how to riff off of one another, and they're just hilarious. So let's make that happen. Maybe we have the power to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Us as an upper community, I'd like to think so. No poll this week because it was a short week, and I knew that when we were going to record this, wouldn't have enough of you probably engaged in that yet. So I'm going to skip it this week. We'll have one next week for you. Okay, guys, it's time for another premium Patreon profile with Goldberry. Let me call her now. Goldberry, Tom is calling you. Goldberry, come interview.
Hello.
Wow.
That was good.
Awesome. Wow. It wasn't me, it was
you have
Tom.
Such a lovely voice, Tom.
Well, Goldberry, you know me real well. Who do we have today? Who are we featuring this episode, Goldberry?
Jennifer Shepard.
Oh, Jen, the crochet master, the maker of blankets. She's fantastic.
It's wonderful. We actually get to meet Jen at the old event, the party.
Did you forget? what it was called?
What was it called?
A long expected
Thank you.
party.
That's
God,
what I said.
Kurt is
Okay.
shaking his head right
I
now.
know.
That's what I
Kurt's
said.
doing fist.
Kurt, I'm so sorry.
No, head.
No, I
forehead
started
to
it.
palm. He's going LEP, y'all.
Y'all.
I also just made a lot of tea for it. So, anywho's,
Yeah. Yes.
Jennifer, we are glad that you have responded to these awesome questions. You have some incredible answers, so we'll just hop right into those.
Yeah,
if that's
let's do
okay.
it.
Yeah.
The first question she answered: if you could visit any location in Middle Earth, where would you go? What age would you like to visit this locale? And Jennifer said the Shire in the 3rd or 4th age.
4th age.
I love the peace and simplicity of life in the Shire. Amen. It is all about family, home, comfort, and love. They believe in the simple things in life because those are the things that truly matter. Although I would love to see other areas such as Fangorn, the Old Forest, Lothlorien, essentially any of Middle Earth, the Shire is the heart of it all.
That fits Jen.
Yeah.
I think
It
she is absolutely a Hobbit at heart. That does not shock me one bit.
Is it coincidental that Ohio is the heart of it all? And
You
she's
said it,
from
not
Ohio?
me. Is this a commercial
Right,
for
yeah.
Ohio? Are we building? Are they going to contact us? And
Yeah.
say,
When are we
hey,
getting a check for that? I mean,
It's coming soon.
I mean, good grief.
I also like the detail. She said the 4th age.
I stole the words out of my mouth.
Once
you know?
peace has been restored, and
Give 'em back.
The Shire is green once again.
I know. Yeah. It's actually
Wow.
really cool
That's
to think
a great,
about
great
that.
concept. Old Sam Gamgee is the mayor.
He's the mayor. Yeah.
Pony mayor.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Another question. You're in a tough spot and only one character can come to your aid. Who do you call and why? Interesting how she starts this. Jennifer says, can I choose Tolkien? Essentially, he is a part of every character.
Wow.
I'm guessing that is cheating and I cannot select him. I'm going to stop right there for a second.
Yeah.
I think you can.
Yep.
That's the old teabag card, isn't it?
The what?
Tolkien? The T card,
You see what he
teabag?
does to me. You see
see.
what he does.
That's the Trump card.
But
essentially.
brilliant.
Yeah.
He
It
wrote
is.
himself into every
It is.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She then goes on to say, if I cannot select Tolkien, I'd have to go with Treebeard. He has lived a long time and has seen more than anyone else. If I were in a bind, I'd rather have the sage advice of someone who would remind me to not be hasty. Too often I get caught up in the moment and I need to remember to slow down and think through things instead of constantly reacting in a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Don't be hasty.
I think that's a lot of us.
I think
you
so
know?
too.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah. I mean, so he's a good one.
Look
I
at
love
that self-reflection. I love it. All right, and Jennifer answered this question. Who is your Tolkien spirit animal and or favorite character? And she said Eowyn. I relate to the loneliness and fear of falling into the background and becoming too cold. Mostly I see a woman who is strong, driven, and full of emotion, but not able to show it in a conventionally feminine manner.
Wow.
Can I say something?
Say
That's
it.
the sound of a home run.
I know. Can I get personal with Jennifer?
Yeah.
That's spot on. Like, look, when I met, I get where I don't know, the sense that the
pretty cool that
answer
we've met
is
Jen
like
and
raw,
known her.
real. It's just, I don't know. It
It's a beautiful answer.
really fits. So,
Wow.
Very
well,
open and honest.
You know what? I don't see it fade into the background. All right.
no, not in that way. Yeah, it's sort of like, but like, oh my gosh, she's just like that.
I think that's a lot of people's fear, isn't it? I think I brought that up once about just getting older.
Yeah.
Like getting older and being more disconnected or less relevant. And like, how do you, I don't know. Man, that's great.
And I relate to what she's saying with, not being able to show emotions in a conventionally feminine manner. I feel like that's a lot of us women, and that's a standard maybe we feel like we have to meet. And anyways, that's another conversation for another time, but
Maybe on your upcoming podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
anyways, Jennifer, thank you
Quick
so much
kindness with
for
Sarah.
getting us those answers.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, thanks again, Goldberry, for coming in, just kind of, highlighting some of our patrons, some of our book club members, just good people. We see people in the group, and so it's just so nice to kind of
Flush them out a little more.
Yeah, get deep. I mean, Goldberry is each week I think we're going to have different questions, and we might just pull more and more out of folks.
She's getting into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, so.
Thanks for having me.
All right. You got some washing up to do or
Some naps
set
to
the
take.
table or whatever
Probably
Goldberry
some
does.
wash. Yes, whatever Goldberry does.
All right.
All right, thanks, Goldberry. Time for the reread.
Get right into it, baby.
Here
It's not going to be as long, guys. It's really not.
No, this
It's
chapter,
cool little tidbits, but we're in transition again. We got done with a huge climax, and we're on our way to.
and this works because we're kind of recording
destination.
during our holiday, and,
Yeah.
and so it kind of worked out. We were last week. I think we left you off with the idea that we weren't really sure whether we were going to record this week. So
It's kind of bonus.
then we
anyway,
kind of looked
isn't
at the chapter and we're like, yeah, it's not too rough. So
Yeah.
we should be okay. Let's do a quick recap here, and actually we have some fun little recap here for last chapter. A little what is this? Our audio drama. This is a drama.
We last time we heard from this incredible project that's going on, and has been going on for a while, the Soundscape audiobook. We were at Emma Hen.
Yeah.
So fitting
Yeah.
that we're at another battle right now, go ahead and just let it play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We did not come too soon, said Aragorn, looking at the gates. Their great hinges and iron bars were wrenched and bent. Many of their timbers were cracked.
Yet we cannot stay here beyond the walls to defend them,
said Eomer.
Look!
He pointed to the causeway. Already a great press of orcs and men were gathering again beyond the stream. Arrows whined and skipped on the stones about them.
Come! We must get back and see what we can do to pile stone and beam across the gates within. Come now!
They turned and ran. At that moment, some dozen orcs that had lain motionless among the slain leapt to their feet and came silently and swiftly behind. Two flung themselves to the ground at Eomer's heels, tripped him, and in a moment they were on top of him. But a small dark figure that none had observed sprang out of the shadows and gave a hoarse shout.
Cousin! Cousin, I'm in here!
An axe swung and swept back. Two orcs fell headless. The rest fled.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
It is great. I love it. So that was the Gimli kind of comes to save Eomer, and just takes a couple orc heads off. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just our boy coming in there.
Such a cool. I don't know. You juxtapose that with when they met, all the tension that was there.
Yeah.
And Gimli's willingness to kill Eomer to stand up for his buddy.
Oh yeah.
And his king.
Well, it's
incredible.
Exactly, and it's and that whole audio project. I mean, that's just some cool stuff.
I know, man. I don't
Sometimes
know
it's
the name of the
overwhelming a little bit because like I'm listening to it, I'm like, what the? I mean, you've got
you got the music from the films,
right?
You got some sound effects from the films.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's doing the voices. I want him to do the whole thing though. I love it.
Oh, I know.
It's like the perfect combination of a reread plus. I guess it would be kind of hard to sustain that for the entire length of the book, but the snippets he has are valuable.
Yeah,
like they're just
absolutely.
another layer that add to the universe of Middle Earth.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So last week there, we were in Helm's Deep, okay, and it was perilous times.
It was deep.
It was
Got real deep.
It was deep. The deepening wall. We had some. It's important to remember that Gimli actually, right after what we just heard, gets forced back into those caverns.
Yeah,
because
which he kind of fell in love with. We learned this chapter.
That's right. So I thought that's important to kind of bring up. So he's back there with Eomer, and they're separated at the end of the last chapter. We weren't really sure what was going on. And so we're actually saved by Erkenbrand and Gandalf. They show up and kind of save the day there. And at the very end, the orcs fled into the nearby forest, but the Ents maybe or some trees captured them in battle, and the battle was quickly over. It was this sort of hazy, sort of like all of a sudden
rubbing your eyes.
Forest of trees.
Was that there last
is
time?
there? Yeah. What just happened? And what's cool to me is the way they make it seem too when we start this off is it's the trees.
Yeah,
actually, so it's not even necessarily the shepherds, but it's the trees themselves.
That's right.
And if you ever thought that Tolkien wasn't, we've said before that he was friends with trees, a tree hugger, all these other things. I mean, just read the chapter.
Yeah, this pretty much spells it out.
Last week and then this week, it's something. So
cool, man. I love how he takes something that we look at as just these slumbering giants, and he empowers them and makes them a very active part of this war.
Absolutely.
I mean, game changers. They're game changers.
Yeah.
So a little summary for this chapter. All of our friends gather beside a stream. the Deeping stream, I believe, and on a beautiful clear day, and sort of recap what's going on. They ask Gandalf if some of this is his wizardry, but he informs them that hey, he had nothing to do with this forest. This is here by its own power. After resting for a little bit, they set forth, and they come to Orthanc, the citadel of Saruman at Isengard. They're surprised to find Treebeard and his Ents have done a little damage.
Yeah.
Probably a little relieved as well, I'd say.
Right.
Saruman and Wormtongue have hidden themselves away in Orthanc, guarded by none other than our two brave hobbits, Merry and Pippin. Theoden is anxious to see Treebeard, says goodbye to the hobbits, and walks with Gandalf to the northern wall. Yeah, as they approach the cowering wizard.
Yeah. Here's another reason why this week might be a little shorter, because all I want to do is jump to the end.
Let's
and talk
get there.
Because there's so much more to me, like some neat little nuggets there at the end that it's the best part to the chapter to me. Now, if I'm also a big fan of, Gimli and Legolas and their relationship, and as it continues to kind of develop, and it's a cool little conversation. Basically, I forget how many leagues it is that they take us 10 leagues or so, just in conversation.
Yeah, which it's a nice cool. Yeah, it's a nice sort of come down from that battle we were just on, and all of the being separated and all the chaos that came with the battle at Helm's Deep to a small party of 20, 25 guys that are riding in one direction, kind of, especially when they're going through the forest, they're all pretty close together. There's this path that sort of opens up for them. The trees part their way for Gandalf, and they're not only close in proximity physically, but they're just talking. And I'd imagine the relief, especially like Legolas and Gimli, the relief to know that the other one is alive.
Yes.
And
for a lot of members of the party too, actually, they big battle just happened. Who's alive? Who's not alive?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think about their conversation, how it's like, we'd seen before how they were, their friendship was really just taking leaps and bounds, right? Yeah. Saying, making plans after this is all over.
Yes.
They're anticipating living through this, and then and I think it also shows their confidence in the quest. Mm-hmm. Like, if we get through this, or when we get through this, we're gonna go do these things together.
Yeah.
And we see that building before. Then this battle happens. They're separated. Not sure if they'll ever see each other again. Legolas even saying, if Gimli's lost, I don't know what I'll do. That'll be really hard for me. I'm not sure how I'll handle that. Being rejoined together, talking, and again, dreaming of this, what we'll do once this quest is accomplished. But that's a beautiful thing,
It's a beautiful thing. Isn't it what gets you through? You know what I mean?
Sure. It's these lulls between battle and dreaming of the life afterwards once pieces of restored.
And what's crazy to me is that, like, let's say we're going through a test or a hardship or what have you, but we know there's an air quote here, reward at the end of this, and their reward is to just be together and to go on another quest or to go see something together
and not be threatened by this evil.
Yeah,
right. The freedom to move freely.
What a simple reward to have, for all of this struggle and service that they've done.
Yeah. You know what this makes me think of too, taking it into Tolkien, right, and his personal experience with war. This has got to be the conversations you have in the trenches, right?
Yeah.
In between battles, you just survived one. You're on the brink of another one, but it's that in-between time you're there with your brothers in the trenches.
Yeah.
The only thing getting you through, like you said, is those memories or those plans for the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I'm sure he was having those conversations. When we get back home,
yes,
we'll do this together.
Seeing the woman that you love, or your family, or you're there with your friends, as you're saying,
or your favorite place.
Yeah,
Tolkien was probably thinking about his trees, getting back to his trees.
Yeah,
like his I don't know, favorite areas.
Imagine if you had been at in a war and you're side by side with somebody who was from a different part of the same country that you were from.
Right.
And you talk about to pass the time, you share a story.
You like caves, he likes forests.
Right. And so you kind of decide, when we go back, I want to see that place you described, and I want you to come see the place that I described.
Yeah, man.
It's something.
The friendships and the bonds that are born through that.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
You can definitely see that in this chapter. So, all right. So, right at the end, there's this joy in this victory, right? So we've had again, the wizardry and all that good stuff, and I love the part where basically Gimli comes out and says, 42, Master Legolas, and he talks about his axe being notched on the 42nd. He had an iron collar on his neck. How is it with you? And he happened to best Legolas just by one, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which is just pretty neat. So you got that, ongoing, head count, essentially.
Yeah. And Legolas is just glad to see him on his 2 feet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Glad you're alive. I don't really care that you beat me.
Right.
I'm good now.
Yeah,
see my
exactly.
brother.
And now Gimli is a little wounded, though, isn't he? He took a
yeah,
little.
he
took
is.
a little.
That's right. His helm's gone. And he's got that bloody rag around his head. Yeah, you kind of wonder. Well, didn't he say that?
Yeah, he took. It was. Basically, he took a blow to the head.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And so later on, Aragorn will tend to that and things. But he did. It was a rough time there for him.
That's what I'm thinking about. How he describes it later. He says it was only a feeble blow, and the cap turned it.
Yeah, and the cap turned it.
Couldn't even swing a good one at my head. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, gotta put him down.
It's great.
Theoden is also very happy to see Éomer, sister son.
That's right.
Which is good. He's second. He's next in line, type of thing. So, good to see him. They were concerned because they had split. He went with Gimli back into the caverns there. So now, and they start to kind of, this whole first little bit is the confusion at the end here.
Yeah.
With Gandalf, kind of like what happened. What wizardry, what sorcery took place there at the end. And as you had said earlier, it's not anything that Gandalf's taken any,
right.
claim. Now, did he know that these things were happening? Does he know? Did he see?
He foretold it, didn't he?
Yeah,
previously.
Yes, and also does he know that maybe if they push them back to a certain, with the arrival of Erkenbrand, and Theoden riding out, could they push them back to the edge of the forest where, they could get some support, type of thing. So all of that is going on. And, So, he was to say here, Gandalf laughed long and merrily. Trees, he said, nay, I see the wood as plainly as you do. But that is no deed of mine. It is a thing beyond the counsel of the wise. Better than my design, and better even than my hope, the event has proved. So, again, other things, other powers at work, the design. I like that. They kind of go back to... almost like you think of like Mother Nature, and you think of like natural defenses that you would have to, things that would harm or mistreat the environment. And boom, here we go. We have one of those that has been designed. It's woven into the DNA of Middle Earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
These trees and, tree herders. So, So let's see here. Theoden says, if it's not yours, whose wizardry is it? And they kind of go back and forth. They're trying to kind of compare him to Saruman.
I love this. He says, not wizardry, but a power far older. Excuse me.
Hey, easy there. Swallow a fly.
Getting choked up, Gandalf. A power that walked the earth ere elf sang or hammer rang. And this, I love this, this little prose that he reads. I don't know because I'm just a hobbit. But it sounds to me like, from that song, the excerpt that describes the Ents.
Yeah.
Treebeard was, listing off in the old lists, listing all the creatures of Middle Earth, and this sounds like this is the verse for the Ents. Ere iron was found or tree was hewn, when young was mountain under moon, ere ring was made or wrought was woe, it walked the forest long ago.
Wow.
Maybe.
Well, maybe.
Or just the power itself.
Well, but also... think of where Gandalf comes from and, his own lore and,
Or maybe it's Tom.
Yeah, sure. Back to Tom.
Sounds like Tom to me.
Good grief.
Nameless and eldest.
You guys didn't think we could bring Tom Bombadil into
Tom's
this chapter.
making his way into every chapter. He was in Helm's Deep, too.
Was he really?
I don't know. No.
Okay, I was hoping.
Dang it.
Hoping we made a reference.
Anyway, show up, though.
Yeah. So, to Isengard, right? So, basically their course now is set in that direction. Gandalf wants to confront Saruman.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, he does.
So and he requests that that some come with him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want a full army. He doesn't want the whole host to ride in there.
at first, man, he's going to go by himself.
Sure he is.
Right.
Yeah.
At first, he says, "I shall not stay there long. My way lies now eastward. Look for me in Edoras. You guys can go back. Whatever. I gotta go. Ere the waning of the moon." And it's Theoden who says, "Nah, man. I'm taking your counsel, and I'm going with you. If you say that's the way to go, let's do it."
Right.
And they get this band together. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is really neat to see the confidence shift, towards Gandalf.
Yeah. He's
And
not wishing for old Wormtongue anymore.
No, he's not.
Well found.
No, yeah, right. He maybe he hears that voice in the back of his mind.
Wouldn't that be a creepy voice to hear in the back of your mind?
Yeah, to hear that just sort of whispering.
Come on back my way, boy.
I mean, is he nervous?
King Theoden.
Is he nervous to run back across Grima?
Yeah. I would
Well,
think
he's
that
definitely
confrontation.
upset, isn't he? So
yes.
That's one of the big pulls for Theoden too. Is that I've got issue with
Unfinished
Saruman.
business.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So he says, I wish to speak to Saruman as soon as I may be, and since he has done you great injury, it would be fitting if you were there.
Yeah.
But how soon and how swiftly will you ride? And this is where they just got out of a battle.
Exhausted.
It's
starting to set in. And
hold on a second here, Gandalf. You're a wizard, and you're on Shadowfax.
Plus, he's wearing the Air Gandalfs.
Yeah.
Those
right.
boots, those Nike boots.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Theoden, though, he actually says something kind of neat here where he kind of talks about how age has truly caught up. Even though he has come back to life in a sense and gotten this new energy, he is still an old man.
Yeah.
And he's feeling his age a little bit, and that he needs time to rest and gather his strength essentially. So Gandalf kind of gives him, that time. He says, "Alas, my old age is not feigned nor due only to the whisperings of Wormtongue. It is an ill that no leech can wholly cure, not even Gandalf." So.
And Gandalf goes on to say, he's like, you know what? It's let's get some rest, but we don't need many guys because we're not going to fight. We're going to talk. We're going to parlay. So, you don't have to worry too much about having your full strength, essentially. Right. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So now they also mentioned that, obviously Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are going to go in spite of his hurt.
Yep.
The dwarf will not stay behind.
Yeah.
This is where you get your, it was only a feeble blow.
Yeah.
And the cap turned it, he said. It would take more than such an orc scratch to keep me back. So
you got Aragorn doing his healing thing, going to tend his wound and take care of him.
Yes. Yep. So he returns to Hornburg just to sort of rest there. And I love this. It says that he got such a sleep, of quiet as he had not known for many years.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, actually, I there was one night in my life. It's little strawberries with cream here.
Okay.
Just an anecdote, but there's one night in my life that I can pinpoint as the best sleep of my life.
Really?
Absolutely, there is.
Seriously?
Yeah. How about you? Do you have or is all your sleep pretty consistent?
No, there is one. I have one that stands out that was the best sleep I think I've ever had.
Really?
Ever. Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm chasing that high still. You know what I mean?
When was your? Is it just like a random day? Was there something significant to it, or was it like?
It was the it was the day we bought this house.
Okay.
And moved everything in. That first night staying here,
Yeah.
I've never slept like that in my life. Just
Really?
total peace, total calm.
Yeah.
Woke up feeling like I was a baby.
Huh.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
Never anything close to it since.
I kind of wonder if
Never
people
anything
have
like
had
it
that feel,
before.
because I stopped there for a reason, because
Yeah.
he had just had all of this unrest with Wormtongue,
you're
all
right.
of that stuff happening, uneasiness.
And I think about that too. Like sometimes, so he was kind of infected and poisoned in a way.
Yeah.
And I think how many times in life we let little stuff in, or little stuff gets in, that affects our very sleep, the very time that we treasure to restore and rejuvenate ourselves. And we don't even realize it until that's gone. If that's lifted, if we're free from that, then we realize we weren't even getting real rest before.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not only did he have all of that, he had the big battle. He's had this big, fight, and so now finally able to take his rest. Mine was actually we were down in Kentucky and we got caught in a flash flood. Flash flood. My aunt and uncle lost their house. We literally left the house, went up on the side of the mountain, and we watched it get swept away. I don't know if I've ever told you that story.
How high's the river, Papa?
Yeah.
It's 3 feet high and rising.
Yeah. So I was standing in this down in the hills. It was a dam that broke loose, and I remember later that morning. It was probably just like one of those things where I went to the neighbor's house. Bunch of us kids, we went in there, and I stayed up as long as I could. Was trying to help out, riding four wheelers around. And once I went to sleep, I just never forget that. It was one of those like I woke up and I felt so good. It was the room smelled the right way. Everything was just, I'll never forget that sleep. It was one of those sleeps, so.
That's awesome.
Sorry, yeah. But it makes me think of we actually are going to have sort of a dam breaking in this in this chapter. And the idea that you would come off such a, I don't know, like when this battle, it's just such a traumatic,
kind of a catharsis in a way.
Yeah, experience. And so,
I
don't know. So good for him getting that.
Yeah, that's right, buddy.
Solid rest in there. You gotta get your Z's.
NyQuil. Yeah. Gotta get
which melatonin is that the Yeah, Lane's not a fan.
To get off that.
Not a fan. I love it. Works for me. But all right. So no orcs remained alive. None.
Yeah,
none.
That's a good thing. I mean, if you think about moving forward, that resource is depleted. Yeah, it's great, man.
Right.
But we've got some of these wild men.
Yeah, what do we do with them?
Left over. And this is what you talked about last chapter. You said, and they were lied to, weren't they? Yes. They were told by Saruman that, the horsemen, they burned their captives alive. Mm-hmm. And what they found true was very different. Yeah. The men of the mark, it says, took their weapons from them and set them to work. They said pretty much, help put right what you were tricked into doing wrong. Mm-hmm. They helped kind of clean up and bury these fallen men of Rohan. Right.
And they even say, too, many of you got death as your reward for trusting in Saruman. Sure. And so, there's already that. You've already lost a lot there as well. Yeah. And I think they understand their own king was deceived. Yeah. If you think about that. Yeah. Okay. So
that's true.
Has been under a spell in a sense, and
some sympathy there.
Orcs have been passing, openly across, Rohan, and so it's tough to kind of for them to look at these, men who are related to them, and say, and say we're gonna just hold you 100% accountable for, the manipulation of this wizard.
Well, and even the way Tolkien describes it here, he says, but a great many of the hillmen had given themselves up. They were afraid and cried for mercy. I mean, even just reading this disconnected as a reader, you feel bad for them. Yeah. You feel, you do feel sympathy for them, and you want them, you're hoping that the next line is that the men of Rohan, gave them a break, gave them slack, and took pity on them. And that's what happened. So
well, and as you say, they were basically they were grave diggers. They essentially helped to kind of bury these fallen men. And I want to mention too that Hama actually
we lost Hama.
We lose him, captain of the King's Guard
at the gate, right, defending the gate.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention that we had talked about him last chapter, and unfortunately he didn't make it.
Theo talks about that being a huge loss.
Huge. I mean, he's the captain of the King's Guard. Yeah. And sometimes we that's a big deal.
Well, what do we have in our modern culture to even, what's the equivalent? Yeah. Like being Secret Service for the president, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like his whole life was built around protecting Theoden. Mm-hmm. That was his primary job, and he led a group of people, the Guard, whose sworn allegiance and oath was to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, I die before you, and I, live my life to defend you. Right. Are you okay? Are you suffering some wounds from battle?
What is going on over here, man? You got like a kink in my neck or something, man. Isn't that weird? Literally, sorry.
I podcasted from the ground last week, so no, not really.
Might have to,
lay down. Go ahead.
Lay down, move the mic around a little bit here. Boy. No, anyways. Yeah, so it is. It's rough that we lose him, and
Theoden puts the first shovelful over top of his grave, and he gets his own burial. I don't know if we've gotten there yet, but there's
the mounds.
The mound for the Westfold and those for the Eastern Vale.
Yeah.
So these two mounds and the two sides of Rohan. It's beautiful. You can imagine going back there and paying tribute years later, decades later, ages later.
Yes.
And it being a beautiful kind of natural memorial.
That's what we've talked about when we came to the Downs in the Barrow Downs, before, and these ancient burial grounds,
and at the foot of Edoras itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what these are, and that's the way in which they buried their folk. So,
and they're kind of almost. It's kind of cool thinking about this is where they died, but they're also. I mean, I'm guessing these mounds are.
Oh yeah.
Pretty decent in size.
Sure.
So they almost become a part of the fortress of Helm's Deep.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You think if there's ever a battle in future ages, they would be a part of the defense in a way. You got the dike there. Who knows what the dike is? Maybe the dike was men that were buried there at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of cool. So
yeah, it's interesting.
A fitting final sort of honor, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, after they've gone through the burial bit there, the sun was already drawing near the hills upon the west of the... and by the way, I was listening to the audiobook, and this is Coombe.
Coombe.
Does this sound right?
That sounds right. We know now it means valley. So, guys, sometimes there's so much stuff to look up that, our archaic English landscapes,
yes,
or geological features, we don't have time to look.
I was laughing out loud in my car on the way here when I was listening to this, and they said Coombe, and I was like,
Cum laude.
It's not comb. It's not a coom. It's a.
The double O should have given it away, huh?
Yeah, it just cracked me up.
We're fine.
So, anyways,
it's a valley, sure.
Yes, but when at last Theoden, Gandalf, and the company rode down from the dike, behind them were gathered a great host of riders and of the people of Westfold, old and young, women and children, who had come out from the caves. A song of victory they sang with clear voices, and then they fell silent, wondering what would chance, for their eyes were on the trees, and they feared them.
Yeah,
which is interesting. So
it'd be a bizarre thing to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. You know that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And now there's this impenetrable forest just right out there. What is it going to do next?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, it'd be frightening.
So, this is where, Gandalf, to lead them forward to get to Isengard, we have to go through the forest, and they kind of want to, as you said, it seems to part for Gandalf as they walk through. But
Moses of Fangorn.
So they got to stick close to Gandalf and make their way through. And did we mention that Theoden just took 20 of his guard, his household?
Yeah, I think we said there's 25 or so of them going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 20 horsemen that go with them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a cool bit here, Legolas and Gimli are now riding together again.
Yeah.
All right, so our friends are back on horseback, and so that's a good thing, right?
That's right, man.
So let's see. Do you feel... Let's see. Oh, they talk about... Okay, so Gimli he's not a fan. This is where the conversation starts, right? He's not a fan of the woods and wants to know, is it hot in here to you? Does anybody else feel uncomfortable? And so they start to kind of talk about the nature of this forest. And they basically come to the conclusion, I think Legolas is trying to comfort him in that the orcs are really unnatural, and that is sort of what these
especially
trees,
these orcs too.
Yeah, exactly. And so these trees are specifically targeting them. But he's got his axe and he's still nervous.
Yeah, I thought it was also interesting too. I didn't catch this before, but Legolas is talking about it feeling hot as well, but not in temperature, in wrath, right? In energy.
Yeah.
I feel a great wrath about me. Do you not feel the air throb in your ears? So again, the whole concept that elves, can hear trees because they taught them language, and so this throbbing, and I love how he talks about this, throughout them riding through. He wants to stop, right? Did you say that already? He wants to stop and kind of hear and also talk to the trees and kind of figure out what exactly what they're saying, and communicate with them. And so I think it's cool how that's a perfect way to place that nugget in there that it's to right now it just sounds like a throbbing to him.
Yeah.
But if he's there long enough and he spends enough time with them, he can kind of translate that. You know?
Yes, for sure. Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is, because he
Yeah.
did that earlier when he was going into Fangorn, and he, sort of felt and sensed. He could sense the dark patches and pockets.
Yeah. So you almost wonder too if it's like if they're not so amped up from battle and killing all these orcs that it's so much information, so much dialogue going on. That's just how it feels.
Yeah.
This throbbing, this
Like an impression.
energy. Yeah.
Well, and also, Legolas being from Mirkwood, which we're going to talk a little bit about.
Yep.
He's much more closer, I think. Well, even I guess if your elf was from Lothlorien too, it would be kind of the same thing.
But I do think you're right though. I think because I was even thinking that too. Like, even among elves, I bet Legolas is. He's always thinking about trees. He's always talking about trees. And we come across other elves who are, but not as much as Legolas.
Yeah, like
he's obsessed. Man.
Gildor and those guys back, in back near Rivendell. Like what's,
Right.
what are they into? Like, is there a forest there? I mean, there is, but
Yeah,
like it's not nothing that's significant.
It wasn't as pressing as it is with Legolas. It seems like every time he's talking at length, he brings up trees. Every time he's around trees, he's wanting to engage them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think maybe he's an old soul even for an elf, huh? Mm-hmm. Like the ancient elves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Gimli kind of goes on again talking about this perilous wood in Middle Earth, and he's grateful for the part that it played, but I do not love them. You may think them wonderful, but I have seen a greater wonder in this land, more beautiful than any grove or glade that ever grew. My heart is still full of it.
Talking about these caves, man.
Yeah. So it's just
I have written next to this next few paragraphs because he really goes into detail about his affinity for these caves. I just wrote, dude loves caves.
Yeah. Right.
He does. And wonders he saw in these caves back behind Helm's Deep, it's unlike anything else he's ever seen.
We didn't really get that in the film, right? That's not something I felt like
No.
I know it's very different, but it's sort of like we got that it was vast and it seemed to have some, but
they're glittering, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like too that he was talking about something that might have been more man-made or natural made. I was trying to discern, is he talking about just natural caverns, because he talked about the dripping of the water into pools and things like that too. So
it seems like it.
It seems like it's a natural thing that a dwarf would like, because you stumble on that and it's like it's a playground of just like, look at all of this. This is beautiful. This is the perfect spot for me to get in here and play.
Yes, and I love how it's almost like Legolas interprets that. You have this whole misunderstanding here too, where Legolas is like, I'm not, these men of Rohan said they would rather you not be in there because you would, do your digging and your dwarf things. And he says, no, you misunderstand dwarves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Like what we would be doing here is we would be improving upon this cave and like honoring it by, he goes into talking about the great cities. Like you haven't seen, the great dwarven cities. And what we do is, you misunderstand us pretty much. So it's so cool how he's helping. They're I don't know. They're continuing to put to rest all of these misconceptions about each other's races.
It's almost like in his own way, he's refining, that
he's perfecting it.
Yes. And he's pulling out all these natural beauties that lie within gemstones.
He's an artist.
And things.
He's an artist. And the cave is his raw materials, his palette. And he goes in there and he just,
right.
Yeah, it's his, and it's also like his interpretation of that landscape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's beautiful, dude.
It's
beautiful. You think of a craftsman, an artisan, and that his medium is cave.
Yeah.
What are you working? I work in mostly cave.
The
fissures, the geodes I carve, I shape, I sand.
That's hilarious. So he goes on, and I won't read all of it, but just sort of the idea that he's explaining those. Oh my gosh, I love this
colors
line.
And stones.
Is this him talking in Legolas when the torches are kindled and men walk on the sandy floors under the echoing domes? Then Legolas, gems and crystals and veins of precious ore, glint in the polished walls, and light glows through folded marble, shell-like, translucent as the living hands of Queen Galadriel.
So tying in the elven beauty.
Yes, that's where, because when he first read that very first line about this great beauty that lied. I was Galadriel.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's still hung up there, but he had just gotten out of these, caverns, and so. But then he ties them together.
Yep.
And
comparing
I thought,
the two beauties, and Galadriel's held to be, one of the most beautiful creatures in Middle Earth, and Legolas can relate to that, right? He's seen the beauty of Galadriel. He's appreciated her. I mean, fully, because he's an elf. He knows how special she is and important she is. And man,
dude, this line, I tell you, he just finally says at the very end of all that going on, he says, "Caves, the caverns of Helm's Deep.
Yeah,
happy was the chance that drove me there.
Yeah,
it makes me weep to leave them.
Yeah, amazing, man. I mean, think about
happy was the chance that drove me there. Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and think about it's just cool. I see an aspect of like this is how I would imagine Tolkien talking about the places he loves. Just all just explicit details, crafting it beautifully with his words, going on and on and on, passionate, man.
Yeah.
And I love this. I love seeing this side of Gimli.
Yes.
And him turning. And here's the other thing too, dude. When you think cave, what do you think?
Oh, I know. That's
dark,
such a different
dank,
perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, just kind of ugh. But then if you really stop to think about it, you shed some light in a cave, you're able to see it.
Yeah.
It is and can be, and they are some of the most beautiful places in the world.
Well, yeah, think about we travel to go see
caves.
Great caves,
right.
And to see what's formed there, to see nature at work and stuff, So yeah, man, yeah,
cool.
I mean,
really cool.
Mm-hmm. And so now we kind of move on to this bit where Legolas and Gimli are making a pact.
Yeah,
right, and they're kind of like
to each other.
When he wants Legolas to go see this.
Yeah,
and they're kind of hoping
witness it for yourself, man.
Yeah, they want. And I think Legolas is trying to convince him to, come into the forest, and to be, let him kind of guide him through the forest and show him, some of the beauties therein. And Gimli wants to do the same for Legolas, and it's
awesome.
like. That's that hope, we talked about at the beginning that they hope that one day they can get back to this place. So
you move me, Gimli, he says.
Yeah.
And then he says, let's make this bargain.
Right.
If we both return safe out of perils that await us, we will journey for a while together. You shall visit Fangorn with me, and then I will come with you to see Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yep, I know. Pretty neat. And I just I don't know. So now that sort of gets us through these trees that they were moving through, and Gandalf says, how far? Or I'm sorry, Legolas says, how far is it to Isengard, Gandalf? And that takes us sort of, into where he kind of maps it out for us. Says about 15 leagues as the crows of Saruman make it. 5 from the mouth of the deepening Coombe to the fords, and 10 more from there to the gates of Isengard. So he said, we're not going to ride all of that way tonight, but time for us to rest up, and then we'll get there. So that's just a quick reference. So they've got a bit, ways to go.
Uh-huh.
So, and then as we move through the rest of this, I mean, it's sort of like it's the lay of the land. It's sort of they start to make comments on. You really see Saruman's destruction.
Yeah.
Of this realm and this area, and you can see what it was that had upset Treebeard and the trees, and any living creature near Isengard. So,
and as we make our way out of the forest, this mobile part of Fangorn, we also see the Ents, right?
Yes.
We see the eyes. Just kind of a notable little thing to bring up. It's Legolas who feels drawn back in. It almost feels like he's lured back in. He wants to go talk to these creatures. And Gandalf said, what does he say? It's not your time.
It's not your time.
Do not go back into the woods. Not yet. Now is not your time. It sounds like almost parrot. Like, hey, it's not your time to go, bro. But he probably knows if Legolas goes and talks to these Ents, he's gone.
Yes.
He's not coming back to fight. He doesn't care about Sauron. He's going to be connected with beings.
Something else will he'll have a mission there. He'll have something.
He'll be stuck in with the Ents.
Help them find the Entwives.
Sure.
I mean, whatever it may be.
Or just be in an Entmoot and talk as long as them,
Yeah.
But really cool. And then you see, Theoden, who's realizing that, that these Ents, in the same way kind of Aragorn had this moment of, oh, wow, they're real beings.
Yeah, yeah.
These aren't just legends that we've heard about. They are real creatures, shepherds of the forest. Just really cool.
What's neat is, I don't know if you're talking about this, but they actually call it in the Rohirric Entwood. Like it's like that's
right.
what it's known as. And so he's like, that's where that's, we call it that for a reason, because that's their wood. That is, they shepherd that wood essentially. Yep. So, and
we get this sad portion, and this is probably Tolkien a little bit commenting on industrialization and the loss of the natural world, and coinciding that with this war, and how Mordor, Isengard, they all represent that machine over nature. But Gandalf says, "You should be glad, Theoden King, for not only the little life of men is now endangered, but the life also of those things which you have deemed the matter of legend. You are not without allies, even if you know them not." Mm-hmm. That's an amazing concept. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Theoden says, "Yet also I should be sad, for however the fortune of war shall go, may it not so end that much that was fair and wonderful shall pass forever out of Middle Earth." And what a sad concept. I think about currently in our world, pollution. Yeah. I think about endangered species. I think about creatures we've already lost forever, and how we're so busy, as a global community now, plowing ahead with the future. Yeah. That we're not caring about the wonders of the past. Yeah. Like, okay, this is a huge sidebar, but I think it goes perfectly with this. Is Theoden and Gandalf lamenting this, right? Yeah. Two very important characters. Like, I think about lions, for instance, okay? Within the last 50 years, we've gone from over 100,000 lions in the wild to less than 20. Mm-hmm. Less than 20,000. All these, and our grandchildren, will a lion be a legend to them? Will tigers exist? Will there be these great mammals, these whales? Yep. It's just kind of sad. No,
let me give you one. I was working with a student today. He was working on his zoology project, and
elephants. Another one.
Well, yeah, he was doing his on black rhinos.
Oh yeah.
And he said, Mr. Kirk,
gone.
5 to 10 years they won't.
Yep.
They're gone.
Yep.
I was like, really? He's like, that's the projection. He goes, some people think it's more closer to 5.
Yep.
And I was like, really? And it's
there are even specific smaller communities of black rhinos that are gone.
Yes.
To certain regions that are localized, they've been cornered. And you think about Ents, you think about other creatures in Middle Earth, maybe that little fox, that fox that we saw earlier. They're all at risk. Yeah. When you're talking about Sauron and the evil of Mordor.
For sure. Yeah.
Depressing.
So yeah, it is. And yeah, there's definitely some commentary there, I think. Yeah. Okay, so the company now turns away from the Coombe, and they head on the road towards the fords of Isen, and Legolas goes reluctantly. Yeah. He definitely doesn't. He really wanted to stay.
If anyone other than Gandalf would have said, "Now's not your time," he would have been gone.
Oh, yeah, for
only
sure.
Gandalf that can pull him back.
Right.
Yes, Mithrandir, whatever you say, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll go. Kind of the changing of the land here too, a little bit, description of that.
Yeah, this is what I was kind of talking about a little bit, just the idea that I think so. I'll
just see this wasteland too, don't we?
Yeah, they rode now at an easy pace, and dark came down upon the plains about them. The slow moon mounted, now waxing towards the full. And now that's interesting, because the moon disappears here in a little bit, it feels like, doesn't it? Or does it set?
Something like that, yeah.
In its cold silver light, the swelling grassland rose and fell like a wide gray sea. Mm-hmm. They had ridden for some 4 hours from the branching of the roads when they drew near to the fords. Long slopes ran swiftly down to where the river spread in stony shoals between high grass terraces. Borne upon the wind, they heard the howling of wolves. Their hearts were heavy, remembering the many men that had fallen in the battle in this place. Yeah. Wow. And I think coming up here too, when we talk about the wolves, they, it's just over here on my next page here, where Gandalf talks about, well, first of all, they kind of see all of the work Gandalf had done when he left them back before Helm's Deep.
Yeah, right.
And he talks about how he sent back a few. When he's with Thurkenbrand and they're coming back to Helm's Deep. He knew that there might be some orc parties or some wolves or what have you that would maybe go back and possibly steal or pillage some of Theoden's stuff or his people or people who were left behind. So he kind of sends a force. Doesn't he a small force back there? Yeah. I think so, which is kind of interesting.
It is.
So yeah, but that's. I mean,
and
yeah, go ahead.
Éomer talking just about the many fair things Saruman has destroyed. Has he devoured the springs of Isen too? Not only like has he gone around and pillaged, their villages and burned those as they went, but also really kind of starting to see maybe why this forest and these Hjorns and these Ents were mobilized, because Saruman was careless with the world and used it as a resource and destroyed the earth, the very earth, as he went. And these places that I'm guessing that, they would have some familiarity with, that, even if they hadn't recently, they would have known the general makeup of the land before, and seeing it now and just being like, wow, he's destroyed some beautiful places here. So, seeing Theoden's lament just a few paragraphs ago, just continuing here.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and another sad bit too. They come across the work that Gandalf had laid. He had charged some of the men there to kind of bury the men of the Mark. Yeah. Near the fords of Isen, and Éomer kind of says that they're still standing guard. This mound that they approach is kind of always going to be there.
Yeah. That's what a cool thought. Kind of like the barrows back at
Helm's protecting Deep. And guarding. Yeah,
watching over and away. Man.
Yeah.
Cool. That's the cool thing about this culture too. There's so much. I guess it probably goes to the inspiration, the groups of people that inspired the men of Rohan. Their kind of like constant thought of the afterlife too, right? That life goes on. That you go to live with your fathers in the halls of whatever,
right?
And that even though your time on Earth has come at an end, or you've ended valiantly, that you stay and you continue your job there. You watch over that place in a way that your spirit has a place within the DNA of the land even now.
Yes.
What a cool concept! Like that, we don't really think that way anymore. It's all like dead and gone, and we don't reflect often on the dead, and they are constantly remembering those who have gone before us.
That's and
that is a thing of the past, man. Honestly, because I think part of it too is we're so afraid of death. They seem to welcome death.
Yeah,
they seem to see it as a more natural part of life. They're not as afraid of it, and if they can do it in service of their people, bring it on.
Yeah. I sometimes think it's a cultural thing. Yeah. I'll tell you this because I kind of my growing up, my family, where they were from and where like their faith, the sect, the religious group that we church we attended, they memorial services. Like having people's photos in the church who were people who had passed on. Like they really, there was a reverence there, for people who had passed on. But I don't see that, anymore, really. You know what I mean? Like I think we all, maybe each of us individually, remember loved ones who have passed on. But I guess as like a community, we do in memorials, like for big, for certain things. But like
they're doing it frequently.
Yeah, it does seem like it's more frequent, and it's more.
It almost seems like it makes them more comfortable, doesn't it? Like that is a phase of life. It's a path that we take, and it's not the end. This is not the end. There's more that goes on after. And I wonder, like, if we didn't take that mindset, if it wouldn't be easier for us. I'm thinking about myself personally. If I thought about it more,
to live to the fullest.
Yeah, well, and just like not seeing death as an end, seeing it as a continuation, and thinking about people who've passed on more often, and thinking about death even more often. I mean, Tolkien. Here's a funny little thing. When he was pushed to his brink, and people said, "What is Lord of the Rings about, man? What's it about?" And he was pushed and pushed and pushed. He said, "It's about death. It's about dying. It's about loss.
Yeah.
And I think the other part that's there too is knowing how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And like seeing it as, like Gandalf says in the movie, it's just another path that we all must take.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's like crazy.
Getting chills over here.
It's crazy. I love it. And
Yeah.
I think me personally, I need to think of it more that way. I think maybe that mentality would make me less afraid of it.
Yeah.
See it as less of a bad thing and something that we can learn a lot from.
Well,
and
and to me, so when you think about that statement, when he said he's pushed and he makes a statement that it's about death, what also has to be about life.
Absolutely. Was that your stomach coming to
Stomach.
life?
I'm pretty sure you might have heard that on the podcast. Oh,
That's
man.
the sound escape for this episode. That's the
There's,
soundscape. It's his
as his stomach.
sound escape. Wow, bro. You talk.
We're burning
I can't.
the late oils, right?
The late oils. The essential late oils.
But anyway, you know what I'm saying, like, because
Yes.
if you have death, you have to have life.
Absolutely.
Life and then death. You have to
yin and the yang.
have both.
Mhm.
So I don't know, because I think about right here, you've got Theoden thinking back to home and hoping to see it there once again. But they're on this. They're surrounded by death. He says that in the last chapter. Death, so much death.
Yeah.
And so. Anyways, all right.
Gone, boy.
Yep. So now the characters I didn't I don't want to fail to mention these folks. So Grimbold and Elfhelm, Elfhelm being so he talks about just that was sort of the bit where he was talking about how he sent them back to Edoras, to kind of take care of things there. So this is just all Gandalf filling us in on what he was doing during that time.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So now they move on with that. The company said farewell to the island and mounted and passed over the river and climbed the further bank. They ride on and, they glad to have left the mournful fords. And you had mentioned that they're diminished, and that that something that Éomer said was, had to be Saruman, right?
Isn't Elfhelm such an interesting name for
Yeah.
a Rohirrim?
Yes. Yeah. I thought it was
Just
cool.
thinking about that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So I just want to mention those because they're new characters who kind of pop up, and I thought it's cool. So adds a little extra, something to it.
Not to...
No, you're good. So then they write. So as they're headed down this, so it's called an ancient highway that ran down from Isengard, from Isengard to the crossing, and it starts to kind of describe, what they're coming upon here. They rode more swiftly. By midnight, the fords were nearly 5 leagues behind them, and they halted then for the ending of the night's journey, for the king was weary. They were come to the feet of the Misty Mountains.
There we go.
So we get another good reference for those of you in the Hobbit. You'll know where we're at. So the question is laid here to Gandalf by Aragorn. What do you think of that, Gandalf? So they look off and they see. This is like a
smoke.
Yeah, it's this deep
Shimmering billows, black and silver.
vapor. It's this smoke. It's kind of hanging over.
Yeah.
Where they're
Smog.
headed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he says
Jiminy.
first time that's ever happened.
Wowzer. Sorry.
God bless ye, sir. Aragorn says, one would say that all the wizard's veil was burning.
One would say.
Yeah. And Éomer goes on to say, there is ever a fume above that valley in these days. He's saying, yes, this isn't new, boys. This has been going on. But I have never seen aught like this before. These are steams rather than smokes. So there we go.
Yeah, right. So there's your transition into what could be going on.
Saruman is brewing some devilry to greet us. Maybe he is boiling all the waters of Isen, and that is why the river runs dry. It's also interesting. I don't know if we really talked about this, but even though Gandalf kind of reassures them they're going to parley, they're not necessarily thinking that Isengard's destroyed.
Yeah, they don't know,
right? And they're not necessarily thinking that they're not going to encounter more orcs along the way. So it's hard to go back and go, oh yeah, they don't know what Treebeard and the Ents have done.
Yeah, right.
They're seeing this as it could still be potentially dangerous moving up here, and it's not really.
Yeah, give it to me. You don't know, Thanon. You don't know.
Oh boy,
You don't know what's going on.
hey, you know what, Thousand? I found me a new master in Saruman, here the Orthunk, and I like me being an Orthunk. But I tell you what, this steam's doing all kinds of hurt to my hair. I sure could use some of that mane and tail you used to give me. Did you bring any of that to parlay? Toss it up.
Oh my gosh!
Bring it up
I
here.
shouldn't have started. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry, guys.
There's
It's
a
my
shower
fault.
on the 3rd floor. I got to use some mane and tail.
That's my fault. Okay, my fault. My fault.
Will it grow my eyebrows back?
All right, here we go. I'm gonna plow ahead. So,
Fitting words.
fitting words. Yeah. So the smoke, the smog, the mist, the steam, what have you. There's a bit here that I thought was kind of interesting where Gandalf says, what is it that comes upon them? So they camped beside the bed of the Isen River. It was still silent and empty. Some of them slept a little, but late in the night, the watchman cried out.
I don't know
awoke.
what this is, bro.
Yeah, the moon was gone. So it says the moon was gone. So
Yeah.
again, I think it was a day later. I was trying to keep track of days.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, stars were shining above, but over the ground there crept a darkness blacker than night.
This
On both sides of the river it rolled towards them.
is this some sort of devilry and
That's gotta
wizardry?
be. I think
and I
that's-
think you know what it makes me think of is Hunger Games.
Yeah,
That black smoke
sure.
that just consumes
Mm-hmm.
people. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, Gandalf's instructions to them are, stay where you are, draw no weapons,
Yeah.
wait, it will pass you by.
Yeah.
A mist gathered about them. Above them, a few stars still glimmered faintly, but on either side there arose walls of impenetrable gloom. And they were in a narrow lane between moving towers of shadow. Yes. Mm-hmm.
There I am.
There you are. Voices they heard whispering and groaning, and an endless rustling sigh, and the earth shook under them. Long it seemed to them that they sat and were afraid, but at last the darkness and the rumor passed and vanished between the mountain's arms. So, I don't know, just,
Hey, I'm in The Lord of the Rings.
you are. Lucky you.
You're in Star Wars. I'm in Lord of the Rings. That's fitting.
That's fitting. Yes.
Is it not?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You're probably in it quite a bit,
Whatever, Thousand.
honestly.
We haven't read that word yet.
I think we have.
No, we have not.
We haven't read it, but I think it's been there. so-
No, it has not been.
Okay. All right.
Wow, dude. Way to downplay this for me. This is a
all
big
right,
moment
all right.
for me, Ezra.
I'm not. I'm just saying, now this is neat. So wait, hold on. Can we
Go for it.
Okay. So the darkness that was kind of spreading there, away south upon the Hornburg, in the middle of the night, men heard a great noise, as a wind in the valley, and the ground trembled, and all were afraid, and no one ventured to go forth. But in the morning they went out and were amazed, for the slain orcs were gone, and the trees also. Far down into the valley of the deep, the grass was crushed and trampled brown, as if giant herdsmen had pastured great droves of cattle there. But a mile below the dike, a huge pit had been delved in the earth, and over it stones were piled into a hill. Men believed that the orcs whom they had slain were buried there, but whether those who fled into the wood were with them, none could say, for no man ever set foot upon that hill. Wow, no man. The death down it was afterwards called, and no grass would grow there.
Not amazing.
Yeah, but the strange trees were never seen in the deepening gloom again. They had returned at night and had gone far away to the dark dales of Fangorn. Thus they were revenged upon the orcs. Wow. So there's your whole kind of fill-in. I read the whole thing, but that's sort of because remember they Gandalf had said actually they left the orcs.
Yeah.
There's multitude. They couldn't even count them, right? I don't know. Is it foresight? I don't know.
Wouldn't you love also? I'm just thinking about this visual. Like, I would love to see the Ents pushing the trees, like a shepherd driving sheep.
Yeah.
How cool would that look?
Yeah.
And also really interesting too, thinking about so orcs destroy nature, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no respect there. There's no respect between orcs and the natural world. And like, who has the last laugh?
Right.
Grass is like, we're not even going to grow on you, bro.
Right, exactly.
We're not going to honor you with covering you up. You can just sit there.
You're just there. Yep.
We know where you are.
Yeah, we do.
Sons of guns.
We do. So, anyways, you know, they didn't get much more sleep that night. Obviously, it's, you know, we're back to King and company here.
Yeah.
And but what they did hear the rushing of the river. It sort of comes back, right? It's reawoken, and so it's hurrying down among the stones. So, you know, that's good. And then the next morning, they wake up with this kind of this fog. It's dim, dimly lit there, and let's see what happens here. So then they move down through. They're heading onward towards Isengard, right? So, a lot of that is just describing the lay of the land. No trees grew there among the rank grass. It could be seen burned areas, axe-hewn stumps of ancient groves. So it's a sad country. This is something that
it once had been fair and green.
Yeah, and I think this is something that had angered Quickbeam, right? Back a couple of chapters ago.
Yep.
He possibly was, you know, good friends with these trees in this area. So we heard about that, and our company is now kind of understanding what's going on here. So they also say that they suddenly a tall pillar loomed before them. It was black and set upon set upon it was a great stone, carved and painted in the likeness of a long white hand. Its fingers pointed north. Not far now they knew that the gates of Isengard must stand. So their hearts were heavy, but their eyes could not pierce the mist ahead. And again, this mist is essentially just this water that is rushing back in, that they're cooling the machinery there. Yep. I love, too, there's a visual later on where they talk about the fires that would burn there and the different colors. The red and this green, eerie green color and blue flame that would come out of...
Like true searing heat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, Isengard was on fire, bro.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, this book club, this upper community, it's on fire too. Which makes me think, Ezra, that we just need to start a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, got to start a book club.
Okay.
Got to get the name just right. And it's an important thing.
It is. Agreed.
All important things I leave to you. So what name can you come up with?
What say I, huh? How about what say I podcast? Sorry, no.
Throw that in there.
I mean, that was a good one, right?
That's the first one you've ever come up with on the spot.
On the spot. That was great.
Pretty good.
Men of the Mark podcast.
Ooh, I like that.
What do you think?
What about Mighty and Wizardry podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Of course. The Tea Time podcast.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no, sometimes
you gotta drink some tea first.
You gotta spill a little tea too.
Spill some tea.
Yeah.
Put a little cream in there, lighten it up. Elf Sang Hammer Rang podcast.
Yeah.
Or something we haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
But is fitting for us. A Narrow Lane podcast.
Wow.
I'd have to ditch my co-host though.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone
would care.
Wants that. Where would we be without our compass?
Yeah,
our banner, our Gandalf.
I don't know where we would be. Yeah. We really wouldn't know, at all. So
we wouldn't. So. Oh well.
Oh my gosh, we're getting there.
Maybe one of these days
we will start.
Guys, hang on.
We might need a studio first.
Amazon Studios podcast.
Jiminy. All right, back into it here. We're getting near the end here. So and really we get a lot of description, which I'm not going to labor us with here, just of the tower.
Yeah, you guys can read it, right? I mean, that's the cool thing.
I mean, it does to sort of go over. I mean, really, what you see is the destruction as you get closer. You start to realize, like, whoa, there's a lot of rubble. There's a lot of I love to here in just a second. They pass a post, what they believe is a post.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's not a post.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that in just a second. But so they're moving through here, and they're really seeing all of this, just I don't know, destruction and the work of the Ents. essentially.
Yeah,
So
baby.
I love there's also a tidbit about Barad-dûr, the Dark Tower, and how this is sort of kind of turned into a child's model. I think is what it's called.
Or slaves' flattery.
Yeah.
Also,
right.
the
kind of mocking.
Yep, and also even the name of Orthanc itself. The name of which had, by design or chance, a twofold meaning, right? Which is interesting to think about. Was it given this name because of what it would become, or did it become this? Was it a coincidence?
Yeah.
For in the Elvish speech, Orthanc signifies Mount Fang, but in the language of the mark of old, the cunning mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about Saruman. And how he has been very cunning, not in a good way, in a bad way. How he's kind of, it's a little bit of a derogatory connotation. He's used his cunning for evil. He's constantly schemed and tried to play people and manipulate people and creatures and places. Middle Earth itself, he's manipulated and twisted. Even the devices of his. He's trying to manipulate Sauron through this whole thing.
Yeah.
He thinks he's going to trick Sauron, be able to get the ring himself, and become, the Lord of Middle Earth himself.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way he's kind of tampered with what orcs are, mixing them with men and creating Uruk-hai. That's a level of cunning. It's an interesting twist. I think a lot of times we think about cunning as being, you're real quick, witty, intelligent. Fast, smart, responsive, and what he's doing here is showing the tail side to that head of, hey, not a good thing, man. Right. Cunning is all in how you use it.
Yeah,
right.
Yes.
You can be cunning in a bad way too, and
right, exactly.
Yeah, so very interesting how that name itself sort of prophesied the Saruman's true colors, if you will.
Yeah, his true colors. Yeah, that's good.
Which isn't white.
Right.
I seen him.
Dallas Greenwood.
I know his true colors.
Oh man.
Sorry.
You're good.
We get eventually up onto our little guards though, right?
We do, yeah.
That way?
I mean, that's basically where we're headed. The rest of this is they're kind of marveling at the power of this greatness of Saruman, but then also his overthrow.
Sure, right.
And now they're just kind of bewildered a little bit.
Other than Gandalf, do you think any of them knew the extent of Saruman's power and what he had done to the earth? Do you like the full extent? Is that also part of why you think they're marveling? Maybe they're like, holy crap, he did this place in.
Yeah, maybe
he had quite an operation
especially
going here.
If they've seen it before, or they've been through here, and they're like, this doesn't remind us of anything we had in the past. One of the things I thought about when I was reading this chapter was that they follow Gandalf because of the great things that he's doing right now. Because otherwise,
you wouldn't go in that place.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't go anywhere near, Saruman and him creating these hordes and sending. I mean, it's just like you're going with a pretty boss wizard.
Yeah.
The boss of bosses.
Especially with the confrontation coming up, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it just, I don't know. Interesting that they did follow him, and they don't have a whole force, and it just, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah.
So, So for a moment there, Theoden and Éomer and all of his men stared, at them in wonder. Let's see. Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. I missed the. Let me go back just a tidbit. This is great. So, the king and all of his company sat silent on their horses, marveling, and all this good stuff. Right. So, they saw close beside them a great rubble heap. Suddenly, they were aware of two small figures, lying on it, at their ease. Gray-clad, hardly to be seen among the stones. There were bottles and bowls and platters laid upon beside them, as if they had just eaten well and now rested from their labor. One seemed asleep, and the other, crossed legs and arms behind his head, leaned back against a broken rock and sent from his mouth long wisps and rings of thin blue smoke.
Isn't that cool how just the play on the term smoke too and the visual of smoke?
Yes.
Right. One being this destruction, and the other, this celebration.
Yes. It is actually, it's a great.
Getting
point.
some old Toby back, baby. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, this is just a great little exchange. So
how many times do they stare in wonder this chapter too?
Oh yeah,
like 4 or 5 times,
right?
At least that's pointed out specifically.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So for a moment, yeah, they're staring there, and I love this because you get Theoden's kind of perspective on what the hobbits look like. A young man is what he looked like, though not much more than half a man in height. His head was brown with curly hair, clad in travel-stained cloak, the same kind that that the companions of Gandalf had worn into Edoras. And I love this part. And they nail this in the movie. He bowed very low, putting his hand upon his breast. And you can see that, can't you? Him putting his hand there and just bowing, right?
Yep, real low. He's had too much to smoke and drink.
Probably, yes, very much so. And then seeming not to observe the wizard and his friends, he turned to Éomer and the king, which is fantastic. Yeah. Welcome, my lords, to Isengard, he said. We are the door wardens. And so this is Merry speaking to us here and kind of, greets them. And Pippin is asleep. Yeah. He has to give him a little bit of a kick, and he explains that the Lord Saruman is within, but at the moment he is closeted with one Wormtongue, or doubtless he would be here to welcome such honorable guests. Gandalf laughs. Doubtless he would. And was it Saruman that ordered you to guard his damaged doors and watch for arrived guests? And so we find out that it's Treebeard. He's actually
the Lord of Isengard.
He's
now,
actually he's ordered him there. Yeah. What I thought was interesting is what Theoden calls these individuals. He let me see if I can find it really quickly here. He calls them not quite a hobbit, but what does he call them? It's because they tell him to hobbit is what they say. Oh, there it is, right there. It's do you see it, Lane? Hobolithan, Hobbitalin. And he says, "Hobbits, if you please, Lord," said Pippin. "Hobbits," said Theoden, "your tongue is strangely changed." So what is it that means? So he's definitely heard of them.
Is that Rohirric for
it's
Hobbit?
Rohirric, yeah.
Yeah. It sounds kind of old English, doesn't
Can't
it?
even pronounce it.
Holbitlan. Threehirn.
There you go.
Holbitlan. Yeah, that's probably it, man.
It was kind of cool because
Rohirric.
they mention that that they had people hadn't really heard of Hobbit. Everywhere they've gone, no one's really heard of them.
Right.
And so they're kind of and it's in their right now in relation to where they are, the Shire is north, and so they talk about the men of Rohan being from the north.
Holbitlan or Holbitla means hole builder.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the legendary creatures known among the Northmen and the Rohirrim. Yeah. Man, that's cool, isn't it? Like, the other cool thing they're doing, too, is they're almost in the same category as Ents. Yeah. Ents are these legends that the Rohirric are like, oh, okay, they're real.
They're real, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hobbits are these legends that, oh, okay, they're real. Yeah. And the cool thing about Hobbits, too, is like their whole goal is to stay away from all the affairs of the big folk, mind their own business. Yeah. And these 4 hobbits are breaking that mold, and they're becoming even more legendary by what they're doing.
Right, exactly.
Isn't that awesome? Like they're it's like legend building in the making.
It is. And here's what Theoden says about him. He says, he goes, I don't know any tales about hobbits. I will not deceive you. He says, all that is said among us is that far away over many hills and rivers live the halfling folk that dwell in holes and sand dunes.
Sand dunes, yeah.
But there are no legends of their deeds, for it is said that they do little and avoid the sight of men, being able to vanish in a twinkling, and they can change their voices to resemble the piping of birds. Yeah. But it seems that more could be said. Yeah.
As we often find with legends, right?
Yeah. I just thought it was kind of cool what they've heard, like
that is
they can quickly disappear, they can hide almost, like there's something, to them. I don't know. There's a mystery. This
Oh, and I love that he says, I had not heard that they spouted smoke from their mouths.
Yes. Yes.
That is not surprising, answered Mary, for it is an art which we have not practiced for more than a few generations. It was Tobold Hornblower of Longbottom and the South Farling who first grew the true pipeweed in his gardens, about the year 1070, according to our reckoning. How old Toby came by the plant.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. And learning that old Toby is, named after Tobold himself. So
yeah, one of the best
cool,
parts
man.
is Gandalf interrupting and saying, you do not know your danger, Theoden. These hobbits will sit on the edge of ruin and discuss the pleasures of the table or the small doings of their fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers and remoter cousins to the 9th degree if you encourage them with undue patience. So basically just watch it. You're going to be here all day long.
And look at that, man. And look at the power of the hobbits.
Yeah.
We go from chapters and chapters of serious,
Right.
danger and battle and foreboding and, confronted with mortality. And Gandalf said it right there.
You meet these merry folk.
The danger is the happiness they bring.
Yes.
And on the edge of destruction, they're sitting there talking about
Yeah.
the simpler things of life.
I mean, the crazy thing is...
and that is their power, isn't it? That's their power, man.
It is. Just inside is a great wizard,
Yeah.
Saruman, right?
Yeah.
In Wormtongue. And they're sitting out there just eating away, chilling,
Talking
smoking.
about the history of pipeweed.
Yeah. It's
What just
not a care.
Yeah,
Not a care.
What just happened is one of the most epic things in the history of Middle Earth.
Right.
The awakening of these ancient giants to destroy a great evil.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we'll tell you about the history of what we're smoking here.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like good for them. What's next? Let's get some food.
Right. And it's
Let's,
cool to see them interacting with Gandalf again.
Yeah.
Like the last time we had that was Moria.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a very dark time that wasn't nearly as happy. And it's just, that's a refreshing way to end a chapter.
Yeah.
And kind of transition. It's great. I don't know.
It's fantastic.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so just to kind of finish up here, so they talked just a bit about Merry waved his hand towards the steaming lake and kind of explains what had happened, and explains where. I forgot to mention that there's this ring that
the ring of rock,
yes,
like the wall.
Yeah, it's sort of a mile across too. You've got if you go from one side to the other, you cross the circle. It's about a mile. Mm-hmm. So they've got a little bit of a ways where Treebeard and the rest of the Ents are kind of, doing work and So he wants Theoden to go with him. Gandalf kind of leads him around the side, and basically, they go on to meet Treebeard and who he calls Fangorn, right, and talks about him being the eldest and the chief of the Ents. And when you speak with him, you will hear the speech of the oldest of all living things. And there's a little farewell to the hobbits, but it's sort of like he says that this is a great sort of thing for Theoden to come speak to Treebeard and to learn these things. Just to look into this wisdom, those
eyes we talked about.
Yeah.
Or that Tolkien talked about that we were so captivated by. Yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting too. Like, okay, so this is reaching, but it's just where my mind goes. Saruman comes to ruin, comes to destruction. His efforts for power are vanquished within a ring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of towers and buildings had a ringed wall around it, but it's just that imagery is very interesting. A ring that's now flooded. The opposite of fire.
Yeah. Man. Right. You're right. Yeah. You're
Wild.
We'll finish just with this last bit here when after Theoden saying his farewell to the hobbits, he kind of says, he'd love to come again. He wants them to come to his house, and he'll listen to all their tales about their grandfathers, their cousins, and
so cool.
What have you. And when he leaves, Pippin says, so that's the King of Ron. A fine old fellow, very polite.
I love it. So imagine the stories they're going to take back to the Shire of King Theoden.
Yeah.
So it's also cool. Also, to go with the Hobbitla, there is a little a snippet here, anecdote that the legend originated in Rohan, perhaps from the time when their ancestors, the Eothed, saw and knew the hobbits from the Vales of Anduin.
Yeah.
Before or around their wandering days.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
That is, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that would, they would see them as, if they weren't well known to the Hobbit, they would see them as skittish and, hiding and things. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
cool.
awesome.
Great chapter, man. I mean, the thing I love about those chapters is not a lot happens, I guess.
Air quote. Yep.
Yeah, that was an air quote. Sorry. But we get back into those characters. We see more of that character development.
Yeah.
And what happens on, in the souls of our characters is just as profound and like exciting.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So there's very little Aragorn in that, right?
Very
next to
little.
none.
Very
right?
little.
But you get different, as you say, bringing forward characters like Gimli and Legolas.
Yep.
Both of them had a great tale, great conversation.
Yeah.
We get more into their heart, and then
You get a lot
Theoden
of Theoden and Gandalf.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the end,
a good chunk of Éomer too.
Yeah,
Getting in there and his voice being heard too.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and at the end, the Hobbits.
Well, and you get all
Sorry.
that fill in, that storytelling from Gandalf, and
Yep.
what happened when you were gone, type of thing. So
Yep. And even just
not everything, but
right.
enough.
Yeah, and even just that's true. And just I guess even just our physical journey through it, we're observing the past. What like you said, what has happened since he was under the influence of Wormtongue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Grandma. Yeah, I'm done. That's it.
you're done. All right.
You got any other cool connections or anything? That was fun.
No, yeah,
A
I
lot
think
of fun.
there's more. I mean, again, the description of Isengard leading into it, there's a lot more. There was actually a bit more, but you guys can kind of check that out for
Sure.
yourselves. And I think the film does a good job of showing showing that. So
Absolutely.
I mentioned that it being a mile wide just because it's big.
Yeah.
It's a lot there.
I said this in Discord too, but did anyone else before this chapter were you thinking about that in The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, EA Games video game, that first level where you're Gandalf and you're working your way from Helm's Deep all the way to Isengard. Mm-hmm. It's just a cool I don't know, because you get to work your way through the forests. You kind of make your way through that pit and up through the hills, and you see Orthanc in the distance and work your way towards the tower. It's just kind of a cool. You sort of see that destruction, gradually, like you do here in the book. And I just thought of that right away.
Yeah,
Pretty neat.
nice.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah, on to Bywater Post here. So again, you can send your Bywater Post into an unexpectedpod@gmail.com. We've got 2 for you today.
Yeah.
I will a little special nugget here for me at the end. So I'll take the second one, Lane, if that's okay.
I'll go with Richard Leopold. Will be our first here. Hello, lads, he says. I sent you a few photos a while back of a few Middle-earthish spots near my town here in Ireland. I was inspired by you to read a bit of Lord of the Rings atop the hill of Tara. Yeah, I remember this one gorgeous afternoon amongst hippies and tourists eager to greet the summer solstice. Take me back, bud. Let's just get a time machine.
I remember that. I do remember that, yeah.
Hop in there and go jump through those pictures. One of the reasons I've ended up here is because of Mr. Tolkien, his world and characters. Here's my tale. Sorry for the length. We'll take the tale. Send your apologies somewhere else. My first exposure to him would have been the Hobbit animated movie back in the 90s. An art school buddy of mine showed it to me. Unfortunately, I was too proud to admit I was interested and dismissed it at the time as being only for basement dwellers. Whoa, man.
That's a great term.
That's a little shot at hobbits, too. They kind of live in the basement, don't they?
Yeah, hey.
Basement's the first floor, boy. Folks into playing D&D while listening to Rush, I now realize that these things are, in fact, cool. How ignorant I was. It pains me to think of how much Tolkien time I've missed out on thanks to that Sackville Baggins version of myself. We all struggle with that, Richard.
That's hilarious.
I can totally understand that. Decades later, I found myself devouring The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit books after watching The Fellowship. Maturity had begun to set in, I suppose. At the same time, I began investigating my Catholic faith, which drove me further down this road and led me straight to Tolkien and the true depth these stories contain. Seeing the parallels between Tolkien's worldview and a lost spirituality I wanted to regain, was such a comfort. Each breakaway into a chapter of good old Middle-earth recharged me, like a stay in Rivendell. or a peanut butter and lembas sandwich. I gotta try that, dude. Maybe a little jelly on mine too. This newfound friend truly helped me during a very hard time in my life. I found myself losing my dream home and navigating a bad divorce while working an unfulfilling job in New Jersey, of all places. Would have made for a kick-ass Bruce Springsteen song. Man, my faith and a Hobbit-like perseverance to maintain a sense of hope pushed me through those lost years without completely falling apart. I was marching on to my personal Mordor while not knowing exactly what my mission was or where I'd end up. Hey, that sounds like Frodo himself to me. Man, it's beautiful. Time went on. My patience and prayers paid off. I ended up meeting a wonderful woman, my very own Goldberry. I love that. The only problem was she was from Ireland, a world away. She may as well dwell in the undying lands. What's a man to do? Dare I leave everything I know behind in pursuit of love, in hopes of starting a new life and family? How will it work? What will I do? So many questions and no Gandalf to counsel me. Those books are honestly part of what gave me the courage to do just that. Set off on the adventure of a lifetime. Now, a few years later, I have an amazing wee wife, a lovely daughter, and another on the way, all while living in such a beautiful country. I owe a great amount of thanks to Tolkien, and I also thank you two gentlemen for starting this community of like-minded Tolkien fans. I proudly consider myself an upper and look forward to continue rediscovering Middle-earth with you. If you ever find yourselves in Ireland, be sure to look me up. Don't forget the sniffing. Richard Leopold. Wow. So many things to relate to there. I didn't have to move across the world for my Goldberry, but I definitely know that feeling of taking a risk, putting yourself out there, and hoping to God that you're Tom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. It's just, and I love how Richard's life and his story demonstrates what we were just talking about, dude.
Yeah.
How from death and loss and what you think is the world ending comes life and beauty and restoration. Like that. That your story hit me, brother. That was beautiful. And thank you. You know, you're thanking us, whatever. Thank you for being a part of this fellowship. Thank you for being brave and sharing your story and being an upper and being proud to be one too. Man, what a wow. And when we do go to Ireland, we're going to sit on top of that hill with you.
Oh,
we're going to read some Tolkien.
Gosh, I'd love to.
We might drink a pite of Guinness. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what struck me is that I'm a basement dweller. You know?
Yeah. Me too, baby. Keep me down there.
I love
it. Richard is too.
He is too, man. He's
but I can relate to that too. I mean, there was a period of time I put off. I didn't know about Tolkien, and then when I remember seeing the trailers and everything, thinking like, what a lame dorky, like, just give me sports. I was so consumed with sports that I didn't realize that there's this whole new world that is so much more valuable, so much more beautiful, and how it's flipped my life upside down too. So I can relate to that too, man.
Yeah, awesome.
Wow. Gorgeous. All right.
Yes. Okay. We got one more here. So we have, let's see here. Bywater Post Tolkien story here from Kathy Stivers. So here we go. Hi guys, I just found your podcast about a week ago and have been binge listening since whenever I have the spare time. I have just finished listening to your episode on the Council of Elrond. So this is cool because Kathy is someone who we kind of pulled for a recent story just because we kind of wanted to get some more of those in here. And this really is just a couple weeks ago where we got this, and so this people coming back through the podcast, kind of getting to getting in a little bit later or what have you. But they're plowing through. I love it. Thought that I would take a little break to drop you a note and let you know how much I am loving the podcast and to share with you how I came to Tolkien. I was 12, I think, when I had my first experience with The Hobbit in the form of my mom reading it to me. At that time, I did not know just how big of a Tolkien fan my mom was, nor that she had apparently been waiting to be able to start sharing that love with me.
Oh, wow, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Anyways, I was instantly in love with the story, and when it was over, I wanted more. So our nightly ritual began, Mom reading to me each evening. I will always treasure those memories, first from The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings. It became something we shared, our love of Middle-earth and everything to do with it. I remember still sitting there, shrinking down, almost wanting to hide when something scary happened, like the first time we encountered the Black Riders, and when they attacked the camp under Weathertop. And of course, the thrill that I still get to this day when rereading various passages, for instance, the Charge of Theoden and the Return of the King. I also can't read that without crying. Yeah. A few years later, when I was 16 and having by then read the books again on my own at least twice, came the exciting news that December, The Fellowship of the Ring was coming to the big screen. To say I was excited is an understatement, and I was in seventh heaven when my mom announced that we were going to see it opening night. It was an awesome time. We went to both the Two Towers and Return of the King on their opening nights as well. Just Mom and I having a girls' night out to indulge in our joint love of Middle-earth. Now that we only saw the movies, not that we only saw the movies once in theaters.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously. Fast forward a few years, then having 5 years of college courses under my belt, beginning my first year as a teacher. 5 years. Did I say 5 courses? 5 years of college courses. I was going to say, it takes a little longer. Yeah. So beginning my first year as a teacher, a lovely bunch of third graders, and I received the news that shattered my world. I should have known it was not anything good when the principal came into my classroom and said there was a phone call for me in the office and that she would watch my class. My dad was on the other end of the phone. My mom had been in an accident. I don't remember what happened to cause the other car to cross the double yellow. The woman who had brought me into the world, had shared so much of herself with me during my life, was gone. It was some time before I was able to pull myself back together, really. In the meantime, I just went through life almost mechanically, days filled with teaching and evenings of crying myself to sleep. Eventually, I started to cope, to try and move forward. One night, I was missing her so much, knowing I couldn't even call her. I reached for the treasured story. Sitting there, reading aloud to my empty apartment, at first thinking it would be just a good distraction, but then I had the funniest thing happen. I know it may sound strange, and I know most people will never believe it, but I swear I could smell my mom's perfume. I could feel her there with me. So I read as if I were reading aloud to someone else, and I believe that she was there with me again, sharing our love of Middle-earth. Maybe it was just my mind playing tricks on me, some coping mechanism or something else, but I don't think so. Regardless, each year I still reread the books more often than not out loud. I am now the mother of a beautiful 2-year-old girl, and I look forward to the day when I can share this same love with her. Thanks for the podcast, guys. It's an awesome. Please keep up the great work. Kathy Stivers. Wow, Kathy, thanks for sharing that. That's that's something. That's I have to say that I'm blessed in that when my mom passed, we knew we had time, and that's got to be so hard, to get a call there one day, gone the next day, But man, I don't know. That's something. And I'll tell you what, I believe 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that she was there, and she is someone who you can't. My mom wrote this so beautifully. She said that nothing can separate the bond between our hearts, and that's as real as anything, And so that's something that you'll always have, and it's weird how that manifests itself. Whether it's in We've talked about smells. We've talked about sights and sounds and those things. And so I think it's beautiful, reading that out loud because someone's there listening. So, wow.
Yeah, I mean, just tears. I'm hearing you read this, and I'm thinking about times that you've told me. Don't have to share these, but just times you've told me where you feel like, since your mom's been gone, that you've felt her there.
Yeah.
Things that have happened, or times where you've just kind of felt her presence, or in the dream world, and I just think that is real. That stuff, and a lot of people would write that off or say it is a coping mechanism, or it's imagined, but it's not.
There's something else.
I think that's the same magic that makes Middle Earth real.
Yeah.
I think it's the same magic that binds our hearts together. That is real.
Yeah,
that is real. And I think it's funny, talking about, Richard's story just before. He talks about, discovering a greater power and a greater reconnecting to a faith, whatever that is for you, and how they all just kind of tie in together. Honestly, C.S. Lewis, so not Tolkien, talked about deeper magic. And he talked about, and it was a conversation between Tolkien and Lewis that actually turned Lewis from atheism, honestly. And he said the magic of one story makes all the other magic real. He said it better than I just said it there, but that's the idea, really. And that's the reason these stories are so powerful. That's the reason we're on these journeys. And Kathy, that's really beautiful. And Ezra's not going to read this because he's too humble. But the PS is the first thing I read in this email. Ezra, I could listen to your voice for hours saying anything. Winky face. And honestly, Kathy, I know exactly what there's a reason that he and I sit here and talk for, what are we going on, 4 hours now of just straight talking into microphones, and it doesn't get old. His voice, I know. It's like when I was getting into podcasts, I had my favorites, and then, oh God, this was 2 years ago now. 2 years ago, I stumbled upon Rebel Watch, and I was like, Ezra Kirk, my long lost friend, has a podcast. And I would sit and I would listen to it because it was like hanging out with him again. And it was after a couple months, I don't know if it was that long. I texted him, I'm like, dude, I'm listening to the podcast. It sounds amazing. And it's just cool how,
I remember what you said. You said it sounds like I'm sitting right next to you. And
it did.
It feels like that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's it.
I'd either be mowing the yard, working out in the garage.
Well, you guys are
quiet time or in bed, getting ready to go to sleep, and it felt it was just good for the soul. So I know what you mean. Some people's voices, they put everything at ease, they set everything right, and you can listen to them forever. So
wait, let me tell you something. You guys are crazy, okay? Because I
do your
appreciate
kids
that.
say the same thing? That's cool.
Kathy, I love you for saying that. I really appreciate it. I wasn't going to read the PS, but thanks, Lane. No, it's funny because my kids will tell you otherwise. Mr. Kirk can put us to sleep, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's a gift too. That means you're comforted.
And I honestly
I take that as a compliment.
Let me tell you right now, if I'm not getting observed,
absolutely,
nap time, baby.
Put them down, man. Put those kids down.
It's just like, let me just monotone this and just,
just like old.
It's a skill.
It is a skill. I think we could probably put a lot of people to sleep.
If you said to me, Mr. Kirk, you have 5 minutes to put these kids to sleep, watch me.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I could turn it on like that.
Actually, I had a teacher friend, Caitlin Berry, who last year, and she's the wife of one of my best buds who plays rugby, Raphael. Mm-hmm. And she knew that we were doing this. She was like, yeah, I listen to it sometimes. She was like, your guys' voices are so comforting. Like, just puts me to sleep sometimes.
Really?
I was like,
puts
wow.
you to sleep. Okay, yeah.
Well,
fine.
like it's like a sleep.
Sure.
It's a good thing, comforting. Puts you to sleep. So I was like, wow. But so a lot of people be like, seriously, we're that boring? And I take it as a compliment. It's like, well, that's great.
Yeah,
I'm not comparing my voice to your. I'm just saying.
No, yours
I think
is great.
tag teaming it, we could be a good ASMR sleep channel.
Podcast.
Maybe we'll do it. Just no farting. That was me that did that. All right, let's do a little. Again, we're snowed under with Bywater Post. Keep them coming, guys. We love it.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you both.
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful. They're always gorgeous. Strawberries with cream, over the river and through the wood. Elijah Wood, Elijah. Who knows really? We're recording this before Thanksgiving, but in hindsight, but also foresight.
Yeah, foresight.
Which Lord of the Rings / Hobbit film will you make sure to watch while on break? You know, we got a lot of time, and also there's some downtime where you can, plop in a favorite film. Are you planning on watching any of them, or if you could, which one would you get into? They're long movies; you can't do them all. Yeah.
Right, but this for me has changed. Like, there's like favorite parts that I go to in all of the original 3 Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
but
why don't you list those? Is it too many to list?
That's way too many.
Top 5?
But there's
okay.
Top 5 would be take too long. There's a lot of different parts that I love to just go watch.
Yep,
can skip right
I know
past
you're talking about
this and
little
that
segments.
part. Like, let's get to the next best part.
Yep.
Blah blah. Two Towers has a lot of those. Actually, Two Towers is one I could just watch straight through.
That's the one I wrote down.
Return of the King. There's parts I could skip in that.
It's too emotional, man. I mean,
there's
the endings. The endings are like, I get done and I'm exhausted.
Yeah. But for me recently, this has been a newfound thing. It's like I watched on vacation back in the summer. I told you guys I watched the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah.
And I went nuts.
Did
with
you
it.
read my
what
answer?
No,
It's literally the same thing.
Well, I didn't really say Two Towers. I said multiple things. But anyways,
You said Two Towers.
I would go back
to the
and
tape.
watch the Hobbit. I love
The trilogy?
I like the first one, but I would
First one's
watch
my
the
favorite.
trilogy. The trilogy.
The trilogy. I watched trilogy again and say how it feels.
That's what I would do. So yeah, there's that's what I've been trying. Wow. Anyways,
That trilogy.
The Hobbit.
This is a really
that's where
boring
I'm at.
Strawberries with Cream because I plan on. I want to watch
you
Two
copying me?
Towers.
Oh, you
You
copying
copied
me?
me, dude. I want to watch Two Towers because that's what we're reading. We're stuck in that, and it used to be a favorite of mine, and haven't watched it as much recently. When I have time, I watch the first 45 minutes of Fellowship and the last 45 minutes of Fellowship because I think the last half an hour of the Fellowship of the Ring is the best. Is film at its finest. Every aspect of that last.
How many
half an
times
hour.
you can tell us that, Lane?
At least 100.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it every episode now. So, but I'm gonna try and watch Two Towers, and if I'm gonna watch The Hobbit, I want to watch them all 3. I feel like every time I watch it, it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
I find things that I like. There's still some stuff that's just really hard to get around. It's just ridiculous.
Can I tell you something?
But yeah, sure.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside. I just.
That's a different film.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Is that where you put it in?
Is that?
You said weeks ago you were going to drop that. I think you just either that was
that was pretty
coincidental.
good, wasn't it? That was
I don't
pretty
even
good.
know if you really remember.
That was
I think
intentional.
if I wouldn't, no, I don't think so.
Are you kidding me? That was so intentional.
That's a long time to hold on to something.
You're darn right
That's
it
what
was.
she said.
I did a great job.
All right, share the load, my friend. We're gonna
Yeah.
get some more appendices recorded here, guys. I want to apologize for the travel pod not being up as regularly, but those will be coming back on a Patreon. This week I had a down minute and I looked at my old schedule.
Yeah.
Of there and back again, and
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm like 10 months behind. I had originally planned to do it, one every month, but I'll get back to doing that. I'll get Ezra cornered and show him pictures and make him sit in there with me, and we'll get
Last
those
time we
done.
shared the mic, it was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. I think it was the best
That's
one
the
yet.
way we have to do it
right,
going
so
forward.
we're gonna do it that way going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we've got other stuff we're gonna put on. We're gonna go record appendices for real this time.
Yeah.
We're gonna take the gear. We're gonna jump on Discord so they, our patrons can check it out too, and we're gonna go walk on the trail.
Yeah, we are. It's gonna be scary.
It's midnight. It's 1 a.m.
o'clock.
On Wednesday morning, and we're gonna go walk the trail and see what we encounter.
Squatch, maybe.
Dear God, I hope not.
I hope not too. So anyways, if you want to check out all that goodness, head on over to patreon.com/uptalkingtolkien and check it out there. And yeah, it's,
All our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Up Talking Tolkien. Instagram is back up, guys. I was able to, so I apologize. For a while, every time I'd log in, it would crash.
Yeah.
Even when I deleted the app, I don't know. It's part of the Millennium Falcon, which, by the way, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I was going to play that and talk at the same time, but too slow. Amazing. I said I told our Discord friends that I had an announcement about the phone. You guys heard my kind of my disappointing news a few weeks ago that I'm doomed to have a phone too big for my little tiny hands. Well, guess what? Not so, folks. Because out of sheer curiosity, I got onto Verizon.com. Mm-hmm. An exercise in futility, I looked for an iPhone SE again, which I've checked time and time again. Sold out. Something kept drawing me back. Was it the forces of good? I don't know.
Yeah.
But there were two colorways that are in very low stock. Rose gold and gold. And let me tell you what, guys.
Yeah.
All that is glitter.gold.
Yeah.
That's for you, Jaron Tolkien. All that is gold. All that glitters is not gold, but sometimes, that iPhone.
The glittery stuff is pretty.
It's pretty glittery. So I have ordered an iPhone SE.
Yeah.
In the gold colorway. Proud. Just like the Ring of Sauron, and I will have that little tiny phone. I'll be getting rid of this 3-year-old cracked piece of junk that's too big for my hand, and I'm just thrilled, guys. I'm thrilled. Wait. So anyway, all that to say, every time I was bringing up our Instagram account, it was crashing.
Yeah.
No matter what. Well, I logged back in, and it's back up and running now, so that will be active again.
Good.
I know your lives have been very empty without that.
Fire up the Twitter. I went in there. I'll tell you afterwards. Did some new updates there too, so. Kind of excited.
Say it again. Did you just touch me?
The Twitter, yeah, it's good. It's good too. I got on there and did some stuff. So
excellent,
cool.
So we're tweeting again.
Go check it out. It's at Up Talking Tolkien, by the way.
Yeah, we said that. Time for weekly well wishes, formerly Fortnite farewells. Excuse me. We want to thank you for taking the road to Isengard with us.
We want to thank you for putting up with us. All right. We want to thank you.
Yeah, it's always scripted, and I usually do a pretty good job of delivering it.
So
And you just really
we appreciate
it up.
We really appreciate it.
Okay, Lane, take it easy. Gosh, this is what you have to deal with all the time.
All the time.
We want to thank you for stepping. No. See, now you're going to have to edit this.
No, I'm not.
We want to thank you for taking the road to Isengard with us.
Okay.
Our next episode will be wading through the Flotsam and Jetsam, Chapter 9, Book 3.
That'll be fun. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a Shadowfax.
See you in a Hobbit fortnight, and remember, Frodo lives for Thanksgiving.
Right.
Hello, friends. I'm Grandma Warmtongue, and you're listening to Straight from Warthunk. The time where you get to hang out with men, not there no more. Me and my new master, Saruman. And we talk about all the evil things we're going to do with that white hand. You watch out, especially if you're out in the Westfold. We're coming for you first, unless you join us.